Click on the subscribe button, especially the bell on the right side. Otherwise, you will miss the latest videos. Well, it's that time of the day. We got to watch what Pluto has in store for us. But before we embark on Pluto, I decided I'm going to be the winner. I'm going to see that Mr. Greeny Sunil logo does not look more handsome than me. And I broke all traditions. I wore a jacket, a coat, whatever you want. And still he is looking more handsome every day. You beat me, man. You beat me. How do you, is it your intention that, okay, this is the
No, you're being very humble. Okay, you're looking so cool today. Yeah? You're looking a dude. You're looking macho. You're looking like just now take a bike and start going on a bike. Huh?
Thank you so much, Mr. Lobo. Your series are a big hit, and it's something new for all of us. And before we start, I just want to say, I'm going to show a small presentation from my side of what I understand with Pluto. Okay, your understanding is much more in depth. I've seen your slides for today. It's much more in depth. Okay, but for the young ones, Pluto, okay, is a very tough planet to crack. Most of us land up fearing it because it represents death, it represents transformation, regeneration. Its effects are in a way invisible, but when the effects come, it's like a ton of bricks are hitting you. It forces you to throw out the old and bring in the new. Okay, that's one of its key themes. And we humans don't like change unless we are babies. Only babies love change. Okay, they love their diapers to be changed. Okay. So it is something I want you to see it by just the secret of understanding outer planets. I'll tell you is for years I studied tons of material on outer planets, and then I couldn't remember anything. I spent years wasting my time. Then what I did, I just took 3 to 4 keywords. Understood its sign, which sign it is ruling. For example, Pluto rules Scorpio, if I'm not wrong.
Scorpio, yes.
So you can say in a way, like in Gemini astrology, we have Scorpio has 2 rulers, okay? Or even in Parashari, many people do take it Parashari, Mars and Ketu. So in Gemini P, they specifically take Mars and Ketu, whichever is the stronger, okay? Same way, you take Mars, Scorpio, and also Pluto, okay? But remember the key theme, okay? You sometimes see rebirth. You sometimes see rebirth not in the direct sense. Suppose Pluto is in your 4th house. Okay. 4th house shows one's knowledge or education. Okay. So there might be transformation in that area. You might not complete your education, or there might be break. Okay. Or you might land up doing something novel in some education field. Okay. That way. Suppose the sign over there is Virgo. Now mix it. Virgo also shows research. Virgo also shows struggle. So to get knowledge, there will be a lot of struggle. Okay. So you have to keep on. Your knowledge can create enemies for you because that's Virgo, natural 6th house of the zodiac. Your knowledge will come from your innocent heart, like a virgin. A virgin is innocent, uncorrupted. Till the time people corrupt you. Okay. Till the time people corrupt you. I'm not saying that because I have Pluto in Virgo. Okay, but this is what I've observed.
Yeah, even I have Pluto and Virgo.
Oh, really? Oh, really? Okay. So
that's my 10th house.
It's in your 10th house.
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. So I'm going to now show a small presentation to Greeny Sunil, and he's going to approve of it, whether I'm doing it right or wrong. Okay, I've not had a guide in my outer planets, although many people have tried teaching that to me, especially my Western Vedic astrology friends from the last 12 years. They've tried, they've failed. I'll just quickly show some charts. Okay, and this is Pluto. Just give me a second. My Jagannath Hora. Okay, we can find Pluto also in Jagannath Hora for the young ones. Okay. Now let's take a chart. Okay. I'm sharing the screen with Mr. Logo. This is of John F. Kennedy Jr. Okay. This chart we had taken last time when it was we were discussing Neptune. When we were discussing Neptune, you can see Neptune is here in the third house with Mercury. And Neptune is
I'm also going to discuss John F. Kennedy Jr.'s chart actually. Yeah,
oh,
it'll be
really?
coming. Yeah. Yes. Very important chart actually. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Neptune is water. We saw last time. He traveled short distance. Travel also is third house. Mercury is also short travels, and he died. Okay. Third house is also the secondary house of death. Okay, because it is eighth from eighth. So Bhavat Bhavat. Now here, let's see where is his Pluto. His Pluto is here. It is conjoined Rahu. Pluto as such is death. Pluto as such is Rahu as such is mysterious. Rahu is something you cannot find easily, or 99% you don't find the solution for Rahu. Okay, that shows Rahu. So you see, okay, his death will be mysterious. That is one way to look at it. And all of that is going in the fourth house. It's in the sign Leo. The dispositor is going in the fourth house of vehicles, fourth house of Scorpio, which is again the natural zodiac sign of death. Okay, we will quickly go to the next one. I have a few more charts. Let's take John F. Kennedy, the senior. And here he has Pluto, okay, in the 10th house, but in the sign Gemini, short travel. It is in the 10th house of karma. That means he will do a short travel for his career. It is with Ketu. Again, Ketu shows exit. Exit. Okay. Pluto rules the third house, Scorpio. Again, it shows travel, short travel. Okay. The relationship between it is 6-8, which is not a good relationship. Okay. Over there you have A6, which is the Arud of the 6th house. 6th house is Akala Mrityu, untimely death. But it will result in what? It will result in Arudha Lagna getting activated. That means his image will grow. Something will happen by which his image, his popularity will grow. Let's come back to Pluto. The dispositor of it has gone in the 8th house with Mars, the 8th lord, 8th house of death, Mercury travel, in Mesha, head. Something should hit his head and he should die. And that's what probably happened. Okay. I'm just making post-mortem analysis. I understand that, but that's the only way to learn. Like a surgeon learns, We astrologers, Mr. Lobo, I love it when people in internet forums, Facebook, they always say, hey, it is post-mortem analysis. Okay. And then I tell them, hey, have you ever had an operation? When you were born, did your mother have an operation? If the doctor has not done post-mortem analysis, okay, on several surgeries in college, okay,
Yeah.
you would not be alive.
Absolutely. True.
Because that's the only way we learn. Only way
Absolutely.
we learn. When we do it on 500, 600 charts, then it becomes a system. It becomes then fresh charts we can easily see. Okay, let's take Marilyn Monroe. Okay, Marilyn Monroe has Pluto in the 12th house with Rahu. I need not explain it. 12th house is exit. Okay, Rahu mysterious. Okay, No one could ever find out the cause of her death. That's how a bit differently we interpret. A bit differently we interpret. Let's take Nikola Tesla, the man who probably, if I'm not wrong, invented electricity.
Yeah, true.
He has Pluto in the Lagna. The Lagna Lord has gone in the sixth house with Moon and Ketu. Moon shows movement, Ketu shows invisibility. Invisibility. Pluto as such is invisible. Okay, it's. I think the god is Hades, Mr. Lobo.
Hades, yeah, right, sir. Hades, yes,
Okay, we
correct.
pronounce it
Yeah,
as Hades.
yeah. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
He
Huh.
wears an invisible helmet.
Correct.
You know.
Yes, yeah, true.
So here in the Lagna, you have Pluto, invisible helmet. Lagna is yourself. When a man is famous, it's his face which becomes famous first. Ideally speaking, ideally, or his work, Okay, he never got the fame he deserved. It went
True.
to competitors. Lagna Lord
Mm.
was born in the sixth house. It's how we interpret. Now let's take my favorite chart. Oops, I'm so sorry. When I came to my favorite chart, that's when I sharing the screen. Okay, let's do my favorite chart.
Mr. Bachchan.
अच्छा, आज तो बहुत खुश हो गए तुम. So you have Pluto in sixth house. Okay. Now Pluto here governs the 10th house for an Aquarius Lagna. It governs the 10th house. Okay. And how he mysteriously transformed himself. The word mystery with Pluto, transformation.
True.
How he transformed his career from a useless actor, useless looking actor, to a very handsome, charismatic, brilliant actor. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, true.
And it is sitting with Jupiter and in the sign of Cancer. Anybody who has watched his path-breaking movie that changed him, Diwar, okay, and before that was, oh my God, when he was a police guy, with Pran, Yari hai,
नहीं त्रिशूल नहीं था.
Zanjeer,
Zanjeer, yeah, Zanjeer. Yeah.
Prakash Mehra. You know, Prakash Mehra gave him that big break. We have seen sixth house. Sixth house is your police and law, you know, law and court. Okay. We have seen how he has broken away from that, and Diwar, Jupiter is God. His famous dialogue with Lord Shiva, you know, in the temple. With
खुश बहुत होंगे तो.
आज तो बहुत खुश हो गए थे, you know. Okay. And it is concerning his mother, you know, it is concerning his mother. I'm not saying he did that role because Pluto is in Jupiter, with Jupiter and Cancer. I just am so obsessed with Bachchan. Okay. I somehow feel when you have the energy of a planet and you're lucky enough to get that particular scene, how is it one scene stands out among 10 billion scenes in Bollywood?
True. Very true.
How is that possible? You know? And that too, that scene was nobody else got it, only he got it. How was he so bloody lucky? And his mother, he's fighting with God for his mother's life. Sixth house of Akal Mrityu, you know. So I mean, the way I look at it is, okay, the dispositor of it has gone in the ninth house. He's had mysterious luck. It is mysterious in a way. The rise that he had, the rise that he has sustained for so long, you know, it is in a way mysterious. Okay, it's like rebirth of some great soul from some previous life. Okay, I'll just, before I hand over the mic to you, I'll just quickly say in Dr. B.V. Raman's magazine, long back, somebody had taken Amitabh Bachchan's horoscope to a Bhrigu reader.
अच्छा.
in Bhrigu Samhita, and this was published by Dr. Raman in his magazine. Okay. In Bhrigu Samhita, it was said this man was a Bhrashta yogi in previous life.
Achha.
Means he was a very great yogi, but something went wrong. Okay. Maybe sexually or whatever. Okay. Okay. And he has fallen. But because his Purva Punya was so much, in this life he will reap that. And see, the Bhrashta Yogi term also shows that, some mistake was done. Now, you know his personal life. You know, everybody knows it. It's all over the media. It's kind of accepted by both parties or whatever. I do not know whether, but the Rekha angle and all that. Okay. So that shows that lost love from previous life. Still not achievable in this life.
True.
So, I'm not trying to, put anyone down. Everybody knows the story. It's been there in media for 30 years, whatever, or 20 years. But somehow this man has that mystery and that magic. Mystery and that magic. When he sees he sings Lord Ganpati song. I was yesterday, hearing it. Okay. He was like, when he sings, your whole body comes as if Lord Ganpati is hearing. Anyway, enough of this. Time has come for the show to be of Mr. Lobo. Sorry for this long introduction on Pluto. All yours, Mr. Lobo.
Not at all. It was very interesting. Very interesting introduction, actually. Yeah. Very interesting. I mean, you gave a lot of perspectives, interesting perspectives on Pluto, which is very interesting. Yeah. Amazing.
Thank you so much. Kind of you. I'm going to share.
You always set the tone very beautifully, so which is good. Setting of the tone of a program is so important, and you set the tone of the program very beautifully. I love that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So here's it.
Yeah. So Pluto is like it's an amazing planet. So the greatness of Pluto comes from the very simple fact that Pluto comes once in 250 odd years. So 250 years, a planet which comes once in 250 years into its own house, and once in 250 years into its exaltation house. So whenever this planet comes in, it creates such extraordinary things that it changes the way the human beings live. So once Pluto comes in, it's exalted, or once Pluto comes into its own house, then what happens is a huge change, an extraordinary change, that the human beings' lives actually transform after the entry of the Pluto. So the last time when Pluto came into its own house was a time which coincided with the Industrial Revolution.
Oh.
So that was in the 18th century, the mid of the 18th century, when the entire industries, everything from steam engines to the way metallurgy was done, to the way buildings were erected, to everything, the entire world changed. There were so many revolutions. The French Revolution preceded that. So many revolutions happened, and then by the end of it all the wars and everything was done with, and then came the revolution where the human being is now looking towards some kind of a transformation in life, something which is better, something which will leave the world a better place. So that is when Pluto comes in. Pluto sets in that journey, and then the man goes on that journey. Okay, and then it runs for about 200 years, and then Pluto comes in again, and then brings in another 10. So we're going to talk about Pluto's impacting the industries probably a little later. But talking about just about the Pluto's keywords. Pluto is the planet which is much more powerful, simply because it is a god of the underworld. I mean, Pluto, they say that Yamraj was much more richer than all the gods. Yeah, he was the richest of gods, actually. Yeah. So he had all the riches, which is not claimed, claimed, unclaimed, whatever, So everything is with him. So he has extraordinary wealth. So anyone who has an impact of Pluto, they will have wealth is extraordinary, amazing, wonderful wealth. This is beyond your Venus or what Sun can give you, And Pluto, the most important keyword that we assign to Pluto, of course, is transformation. That is a word that you've been using again and again. So transformation, as you rightly said, every transformation brings in a pain. It doesn't happen without a pain. So Pluto, first of all, gives you the pain. And then you undergo that upheavals. You go through those huge challenges. You face the challenges, and then finally you come out of it. You come out victorious. Okay, that entire transformation happens. So, yeah, so Pluto is a planet of transformation. It brings in past struggles. It brings in upheavals. It is the planet which is responsible for death. It is also the planet which is responsible for life. Actually, if you see, it is a natural ruler of the 8th house. So if you're looking at the 8th house indicates other people's lives, but it also indicates other people's money. It can also indicate other people's children. So which means Pluto also indicates adoption.
Okay.
Pluto, yeah. So Pluto indicates death. Pluto indicates other people's money. Pluto also indicates adoption. So other people's life. So when you have to see let's say, if a person can adopt a child or not, if you look into their 8th house, then there could be something very strong, significant in the 8th house, or there could be something very significant about the Pluto, okay, which shows adoption. And
I wish I had this. I wanted to quickly test what he just said. I wish I had this chart of a lady, and you know how much deviate. Did you watch that video of mine, Lady and a Strange Prediction?
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Okay, I'm going to tell you that. You know, since it's a conversation between you and me, you know, this show is she's a Muslim lady, okay, and she used to go to a guy in Delhi, okay, who who was a Hindu, but learned astrology, Vedic astrology from Muslims, and lives or used to live in a graveyard.
Oh my God!
And he used to practice in Delhi's very famous dargah. Okay, he used to practice astrology right at the dargah. Okay, right outside the dargah. Okay, something like that. And this lady and her husband went over there. Her child was waiting in the school. They have to pick him up. Okay. Huge line, huge darbar, 20 people inside the room. The husband insisted ki please look at my horoscope earlier. Okay. Child is waiting. The man shouted, the astrologer shouted. The man said, my children are waiting in the school. In 45 minutes, you have to pick them up. Okay. You know what that astrologer said? And this is a very recent incident, 2005, 2004. Astrologer said, "Pahla जाके अपने बीवी को पूछो, वो बच्चा तुम्हारा है कि नहीं?" Means for the English viewers, he's saying, go and ask your wife who's sitting over there whether the child is yours or not. Now the point is, they were so insulted. They said, still they will wait. And they waited and their line came. And this man was very rude astrologer. Most great astrologers are extremely rude. Okay? Or extremely pious, extremely soft spoken. It's either the reverse, nothing in between. So then this couple's line came. The astrologer saw the horoscope, looked at the couple and said, "Hey Bhagwan, mere se aaj kitna bada paap ho gaya." Means, oh God, what a great sin I've committed today. Because only these people knew that their two children both are adopted. And the astrologer saw it in the horoscope.
Oh.
That is the reason first he said it just without seeing the horoscope, you know. Then after 45 minutes when the horoscope came, he said this. So I wanted to check if her Pluto is connected with the 8th house, because I do not know adopted children. You know, you said something in the learning, you know.
Correct.
It's such a thing, you know. normally, you don't bother to take everybody's horoscope.
Yeah,
If she's a friend, I'll just call her up and ask her. I wanted to see now. This is something new. You're saying
hmm
house is adoption, and also Pluto could also lead to adoption. Am I right?
absolutely. Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I go into stories always in between.
No, no, that's okay. That's fine. That always is. That keeps it more interesting. Yeah. So, so we're talking about. See, everything. Every time Pluto comes in, it brings in the change. It brings in the transformation. It brings in revolutions. So, if you're looking at Uranus is a planet of change and innovation. Pluto goes. I mean, several steps ahead of that. It is like transformation. The entire scenario is changed. There is a new level field. Where people now are into new battles or new fields to play and stuff like that. So Pluto can completely change the scenario, and Pluto is also the planet of creation, so which means a new thing is created, something which is brand new, something which never existed before has come into play. Okay. And of course the modern terrorism is not a modern thing. Actually, terrorism has always been there, but probably we coined the word terrorism now. Okay. So all of those things which are terror, where people use the power in a very abusive way, in a wrong way, all of that can be connected to terrorism. And terrorism, of course, is ruled by Pluto. So probably that is the reason, when we talk about the colors of Pluto, uh, I would say that the red color is to Mars, which is the scarlet red, the bright red, which should be assigned to Mars, because Mars is all about positivity. It's energy, it's all full of life and positive things. But Pluto, many times, it also shows you can assign the color of deep red to Pluto, because Pluto indicates the deeper energy, the subtle energy, the energy which is hidden. The energy is not seen, but it is much more powerful, and it can be much more devastating, and it can be much more negative also. So that can be the color which can be assigned to Pluto. So Pluto is really it is a one which stands for rebirth, everything to do with revolutions, everything which is connected with regeneration, renewal, changing things. So whatever was there, that is transformed completely. So it's all about complete transformation. So now, if you have a Pluto, the house where you have the Pluto, that house shows that area of life where your life is going to be completely transformed. Your life is going to change in a huge way. I mean that part of life is not going to be what it was. It is going to be like, it will go through sea changes, and it will bring in extraordinary changes, extraordinary transformation. Your life would be completely different. So now, if you're looking at, if it is there in the first house of personality, then you can change completely as a person. Your personality can change. You can be fat. You can become fit. It can be otherwise also. And people who run marathons and stuff like that, so they all have very strong eighth house or the first house. People who have second house Pluto may have something really, really interesting happening in their money sphere. The money can change completely dramatically. If it is there in the fifth house, then the love and romance can be very, very dramatic. If it is there in the sixth house, then the person can keep on working, and there could be a change in the work area. I mean, that's what happened to Amitabh Bachchan. If you're looking in his sixth house Pluto, he's working even now. He's like working like crazy. So he's just working on and on and on and on. You're working like forever. So that is the kind of a thing. And if it is there in the seventh house, then your entire relationship will go through upheavals. So there could be huge changes in relationships. There could be huge changes in relationship statuses. In 10th house means, your career is like undergoing transformation. You may start with something, you may get into something else, and then finally, end of your life, you may be doing something else. So there is a huge transformation in your career. So Pluto is all about renewal. Pluto is all about upheavals. So it can be very, very positive. It can be very negative. So depending upon what kind of a Pluto that you have in your chart.
I was thinking, when did Pluto enter into Sagittarius?
Pluto entered in Sagittarius in 2006. 2006.
2006. Okay, let me just quickly erect a chart, because you mentioned terrorism, and what is, yeah, you're right, 2006, around that. Yeah. The last 11 years, the word terrorism is so bloody common.
Yeah. And if you see the terror, most of the terror outfits which are still active, they were all formed between the 1989 till 2005. So they're active now, but then they were formed when Pluto was in its own house.
Scorpio.
Scorpio, yeah, Pluto was in Scorpio.
And
So most of this,
Sagittarius is religion because it's the natural ninth house.
correct, yeah.
And Rahu gets debilitated over there. Okay. So now it's become religion-based terrorism.
Yeah, that's true.
With Pluto in Sagittarius, it's become, unfortunately, the word unfortunate I would use, because the good part of that community is harmlessly is unfortunately targeted, because of a few select few. But so it's now become religion-based terrorism. I mean, that's the way I'm looking at Pluto.
Correct.
I have you said 7th house of relationship. I quickly checked. Your predictions are so correct. I quickly checked. I have a friend, female friend. She's married, but Pluto after 2005 has entered her 7th house, and from that time till now, her relationships are like, oh my God. It's even in my chart, it's in my 7th house now in transit. Okay. From that time, my businesses have changed, my profession has changed, because 7th house is secondary profession.
Correct.
And although I resisted it, and I still resist doing chart readings. I don't do horoscope readings, But these days I'm getting tempted, because what I do is, our readers, they do the reading. I go and just sit over there and I see how they predict. Man, they're so beautifully they predict, And I still add 1 or 2 points, something. But my whole business mentality has changed. My businesses have gone up to down, and I'm now accepting cheating is a part of business. You get cheap. I'm accepting it. And last 2 years have been really bad on me. So cheating is a part of business. So I am now thinking that if I knew about Pluto, if I had done this session with you 2 years back, I would have been much wiser. I wouldn't have gone through depression, because I would have understood that this is what's going to happen to me. And the key solution is to accept the transformation and not fight it.
Absolutely. That's very true.
Readers, you may think Pluto takes 14 to 31 years to cross a particular sign, okay, because of its erratic and eccentric orbit, okay. We forgot to tell that at the start. It takes 14 to 31 years, okay, because it's very eccentric in its orbit, okay. But the more eccentric a planet is, the more important it is in your chart. Am I right?
Absolutely. I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. That is the most important thing. Yeah. The more erratic it is, the more important it is. Yeah.
You just can't. You can probably let go of all planets, but not Pluto, the god of Underworld, Yama, because he is the final storekeeper of your karmas. In a way.
Yeah. He's the reality of life. He will come and fetch you finally. Yes, he is.
I'm enjoying this session. I'm sorry I keep on interrupting, but I feel because it's a new session for us, for the Vedic astrologers, the more we make it as a conversation, people will remember it.
Absolutely. Yes.
Why did you say sex and murder?
Because 8th house is the natural, the indicator of death, and also all the unnatural death. So it is not just about murder; it's also about any kind of an unnatural death, accidents, and murder is the most gruesome thing that you can do. Besides murder, even rape. Okay, so that is also ruled by Pluto. So all of those, even the physical, the devastating impact that one person creates on someone else is indicated by Pluto. So the ultimate thing that someone can do it is on you is the death, and probably something which even kills a person, even when the person is alive, is rape. Okay, so killing a person while the person is alive, or just killing the person forever, is rape and death. So both of them are indicated by Pluto.
Oh my God, this is genius. I'll tell you why. I quickly remembered a horoscope. That person has Pluto in the third house.
Okay.
Another person has Pluto in the 11th house, but dispositor of it has gone in the third house. Okay.
Okay.
Both the charts, both the girls, one was molested by the brother, third house of siblings. Another was almost raped by the brother. Both the charts. And this keywords for Pluto work wonders, yeah. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. Please continue. Although it's a sad.
Yeah, let's go with the. You can probably show the more keywords. So, if you're looking at, it's about rebirth. So anything which, so first of all, Pluto, what it does is it brings everything to dust. I mean, it just pulls down everything. It's a completely a destruction. And then there is a renewal. So for a renewal to happen, something new to happen, the old has to die. If the old thing doesn't die, then there is nothing new comes in. So that is what the Pluto does. The entire transformation business is all about pulling things down and then bringing it up. In fact, something I'll say something very interesting here is that for people who are into redevelopment of societies. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of people, builders who are into redevelopment business.
Correct.
All those guys whom I've seen who are into redevelopment are not new construction. New construction is many times Saturn, Jupiter, and Uranus and all the other planets. But all guys who are into reconstruction, redevelopment, they all have Pluto very strong. 10th house, 4th house, 11th house, they have it very strong. So this is about that, pulling down things, completely destroying the old, and then giving a new path. Okay. So that is all about Pluto. So initially, Pluto's, Pluto may give pain. You may feel, oh my God, what am I going through? But ultimately, Pluto makes you suffer only so that you become better. So that it heals your problems. Because you have become better, because you have transformed, you have become stronger now to handle any problem in life. That is what Pluto does to you.
Okay. So revolution. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So revolutions. I mean, most of the revolutions. I mean, if you look at, it can be the French Revolution, okay, or the Industrial Revolution that happened, and now we are actually in the midst of a huge revolution. If you're looking at all the companies, okay, which are formed in the 90s. You look at a Facebook, or we are talking in the YouTube. I mean, there are thousands of people who are watching this video on YouTube. These are all creations of the new age, the Pluto. Pluto came into its own house in 1990, and that is the time from when all these companies, your Facebook, your YouTube, your Googles, your WhatsApps, everything has come in now. So this is a transformation. The way we are communicating, we are in a world of information overload. Okay, information is passing. I mean, you are getting information from everywhere. In the 90s, I mean, in the 80s, we found it extremely difficult to actually get some information. Getting one chart was so difficult. Now, what Sunil ji is doing. We are talking, and he's like, immediately searching for a chart. So it's so powerful now, and that is all because of the Pluto. Pluto is brought in the transformation. Okay. And now to talk about the most important things, okay, now is that we people who have been born in the 90s and the 80s and the 2000s, we are all very, very lucky because we have been able to see the impact of Pluto. Now, understand one important thing about Pluto is that it comes once in 250 years into its own house. Then it gets exalted, in 250 years. So now in this century, in the 20th century, both of these things happened. We are lucky that Pluto got exalted in this century, 1949 to 69, and Pluto came into its own house in the 1990 to 2005. So, which is like amazing. I mean, we people, our generation is so lucky that we have seen exaltation of Pluto plus Pluto getting into own house. So we have been through, and we are actually, I mean, we don't know if we realize this or not, we are actually a part of a huge revolution.
Very true.
Probably another 100 years, 100 years will actually be an extension of whatever is happening right now.
Hmm.
So whatever we are doing, the internet revolution and everything else is going to stay for 100 of years, 100 years, 200 years. And then probably Pluto will come again and then bring in some kind of a renewal, something new. Okay. So here I want to talk about something very, very important, and that is about the exaltation point of Leo, of Pluto.
Okay.
Pluto gets exalted in Leo. And this is something very, very interesting, because Pluto's exaltation in Leo is because Pluto stays in one zodiac sign for such a long time, and in Leo it stayed for 20 years. And in these 20 years of Pluto stay in Leo, it goes through 3 distinct phases. Something which is very, very amazing. I mean, I've done a lot of research in this. I mean, my sweat and toil and my hair has gone into this, in sort of understanding Pluto's impact. So Pluto goes through 3 phases of exaltation.
Okay.
Though Pluto stayed for 20 years in Leo, there are 3 phases of exaltation. The first phase of exaltation is called as the eagle. The eagle phase, okay, which was, I mean, if I remember correctly, it is between, which years? I think the 1949 to 52, okay, when Pluto is between 0 to 5 degrees. Okay, so probably we can actually go into the next slide, maybe people can actually make it up there. They can see it in the next slide, So what happens is Pluto has got 3 avatars. When it gets exalted, I mean, there are actually in this century we have seen 4 types of Pluto. One is Pluto being in its own house, which is from 1990 to 2005. So those 15 years when Pluto was there in its own house, that was brilliant, that was amazing. But before that, Pluto was an exaltation from 1949 to 1969, 20 years. 1949 to 52 is what I term as the eagle. Okay, now this is not my terminology. This terminology I have borrowed from Linda Goodman.
Okay.
Linda Goodman talks about 3 types of Scorpios. I mean, when she talks about Scorpio as a zodiac sign, she talks about 3 types of Scorpios. One is that Scorpion, a typical Scorpion who will, what he will do, he will sting you back. You give him something, you give him a pain and he'll sting you back. Okay, he's always on an attack mode. If you give him something, he'll give it back to you. So that is a typical Scorpion. Scorpion. There is another type of a Scorpio which Linda Goodman talks about, and that is the much lower version of a Scorpio, which is a grey lizard. Now this guy is like so much full of pain and anger, but he's not able to externalize the anger. So what he does is he just keeps stinging himself. He's so full of poison. He either kills you down, pulls you down, okay, and he's an unevolved soul. Okay, so that is a grey lizard. That is what Linda calls as grey lizard. And Linda terms another type of an evolved Scorpio, the zodiac sign Scorpio, and she terms them as eagles. Now, vindictiveness is a typical, inner, desire, okay, of a Scorpio, and a typical Scorpion will retaliate. But what does a Leo do? And what does the eagle do? And which is the best way to, beat your enemy? The best way to beat your enemy is just grow over them, So, I have an enemy, I want to beat that enemy. The best way to beat him is just grow above him, and that is what an eagle does. What the eagle does is the eagle soars above all the people. So this is the classification that she gave for the 3 types of Scorpios. And now if you look at Pluto's exaltation, I was amazed to see that what Linda talks about is actually seen in the exaltation points of Pluto. So I found that between 1949 to 52, there are so many eagles born. I mean, if you look at these people, the eagle manifestation can be many times positive, but sometimes it can also be negative. But what happens is these are people who are the they are the brainchilds of transformation. These are the people who bring in some innovative idea, something which is new, something which is path breaking, something which can change generations, something which can be absolutely transforming. So that is what the eagle people do. They are the pioneers of change. They bring in the change. And then we are looking at a second category of people, which is the grey lizard, which was between 1957 to 61. These are the guys who were born during that time. And what happens to the people who are born between this time? I mean, these are the most unfortunate people, I would say. In fact, I would say that the 1958 and 59 are the 2 years which are the most unfortunate 2 years in the entire century, because this is the deepest, the exaltation point for gray lizard. So people who are born during this time, they see extraordinarily tough situations. They see what life is all about. They come very, very, very closer to what life is and what death is, or what the deepest struggles in life can be. It is extraordinary struggle. I mean, people who would have had the worst karmas in their past lives, or maybe people who are in this birth, they are here to sort of finish off all their bad karma. Maybe like people who are born in gray lizard, maybe this is their last birth of bad karma, where they're just giving away, or they're just relinquishing, or just finishing off all their bad karmas. That is the reason probably they're born in this time. And they see the worst of times.
Okay.
And yeah, amazingly, I mean, I shouldn't use the word amazing. I mean, it can be so detrimental, devastating bad times they see. And then, of course, we have the third type, which is the Scorpion type, okay, which is the people born between 64 to 67. And the Pluto degree is 22 to 27 degrees. And these people, what they do is they initially see some tough times. Initially, they see some real tough moments in life. And then the life transforms and they become something huge again in life. So they become big. So eagles, they are like, they go from, they are nobodies. They are pioneers. They are the innovators. But actually they start from zero. No one would have heard about them. But suddenly they come and they grow huge. They become large. They transform the entire world. And scorpions are people with some kind of a trapping. They have some kind of a background. They suffer initially, they go through challenges, but then again, they also become big. But gray lizards are the unfortunate souls. I mean, I've seen this in every person who's born between 58 to 59. Around myself, it can be everyone, any person whom I would have met, 58 to 59 born. In some part of life, they must have come close to what life is all about. They would have come very, 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 very close to reality of life. Very, very painful moment they must have seen in their lives. Irrespective of who the person is a male or a female, they would have seen the life at some point of time. Some come very, very close to that point of, like frustration at some point of time. If they haven't, then they will come again. I mean, it's a part of your life. It has to come. Gray lizard 58, 59 is like that. And of course, it extends from 57 to 61. Depending upon where you are, the fights can be huge or small. But you see the fights in your own way. So this is the various avatar of Pluto, which is very, very amazing. I've seen it. So all the horoscopes that you're going to be discussing today, we're going to be seeing as eagles or, gray lizards or scorpion. We're going to classify them as these three different categories of people, and we're going to look at them.
That's a fantastic way of classifying. Okay, the man of the century, the man of the period now.
Yeah, so I mean, what a horoscope he has got. So see, I mean, we can explain his chart by using many planets. I of course talk about planet X, okay, which makes him a politician, which is there in the 7th house. But the reason for his being an eagle, I mean, someone who was a nobody. I mean, Narendra Modi, no one knew him about 20 years back. But then, out of nowhere, he just came from a very small town. Okay, I don't know how many of us heard of this town called Vadnagar or whatever, So, and then he was a chai wala, okay, and he was serving tea in a railway station.
That's the moon Mars in the 2nd house of income.
Yeah, so, so very, very humble background. And then from there to this historic and this revolutionary kind of a growth, where he grew to such an extent that he's actually impacting the finances of people, because Pluto is the second lord exalted in 11th, okay, and 11th house is all about the second half of life. So which means, and Pluto is an eagle form, it's an eagle avatar, and he has grown in his 40s, into the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, as a chief minister, as a leader first of all, then national, he was a regional level player. He became a chief minister, very successful chief minister, and then he has become a prime minister. So his growth has been continuous, and his growth has been transforming actually. I mean, if you look at it, it's transformed the way we people have been using our money. So second lord is exalted in 11th house. He's not a businessman. he's not someone who is, I mean, the second and 11th house connection normally is found in the chart of business people. Okay. When you have a second lord exalted in 11th house, it is most of the time it is about business people. But he has actually not been a businessman, but he has transformed the lives of businessmen or how you do business in India. So the entire way the money is being transacted, the entire way the, like money is going to be used is going to be changed by the way, this man has done. So he has entirely changed it. The way we are, we are talking about plastic money, we are talking about money transactions, we are talking about e-transactions. All of this are changes which are going to stay for hundreds of years. So that change has been brought by this gentleman. Okay, because he has Pluto in exaltation in the 11th house. 11th house is about income, the ROI, the return of investments. And of course, it also indicates the 11th house, the second half of life, where he has the Pluto in exaltation and the eagle avatar. That is what makes him, the X makes him the prime minister. And of course, the Pluto is the one which has made him change the way we use money. Okay. And yeah, so, and of course, the successes, the huge successes that he's getting in the second half of life is all because of Pluto. Yes. Okay. Now, he's a phenomenon, isn't it? Rajinikanth is like, he's an ordinary looking person. He just looks a very, very ordinary man. Wow. But he transforms. The way he transforms into something extraordinary on the screen is something to be, only seen to be believed. Again, no one, he was a bus conductor. He was a bus conductor in a place which nobody would have known him, nobody would have recognized him. He would have just remained a bus conductor forever. But he came into the movies, and just imagine, just a Venus in the 5th house. People say Venus in the 5th house has made him an actor. There are hundreds of thousands of people who are born with Venus in the 5th house. But look at his Pluto. He has Pluto in exaltation in the 1st house. The 1st house is the house of personality. The 1st house is the house of transformation. The 1st house is the house of personality. The 1st house indicates who you are as a person. The 1st house indicates your status in the society, your name in the society, what do you leave behind. What a figure you are. He is a cult figure. He's a national icon. He's like a demigod in south of India. All of that comes from his Pluto exalted in the 1st house. One planet, just one planet which makes him what he is. He's huge. The phenomenon of Rajinikanth, Rajinikanth's phenomenon is going to stay for hundreds of years. So that can be only explained by a planet which comes once in 250 years, into exaltation. And when it just came into exaltation, this gentleman was born. And if you see Rajinikanth and Narendra Modi, both of them were born in the same year, in a difference of a few months. So that is the eagle. Both of them are eagles. From nowhere, they rose from nowhere to reach the status where they are today. So which is really, really amazing. Yeah.
It shows the true quality of Pluto in its exaltation point.
Absolutely.
What's the exact degree of exaltation that you take for Pluto?
That's what I'm saying. It's like three different exaltation points. So if you're looking at eagle, it is 1 degree is the deepest exaltation point.
Okay.
And if you look at the grey lizard, it is around 10 degrees. 11 degrees, I would say, is the deepest exaltation point. So a couple of degrees here and there. And if you're looking at Scorpion, it is 25 degrees.
Okay.
That is the deepest exaltation point. So there are 3 deep exaltation points within Pluto's exaltation. Okay. So Pluto is exalted for 20 years. So even within that, it has got 3 different phases of exaltation. One is the eagle avatar, the other one is the grey lizard avatar, and the last one is the scorpion avatar, which is really amazing. The way because it stays for so long,
the
impact is different in these ways. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now you look at Sunil Gavaskar. Okay. Now he has got so many things, so many planetary combinations in his chart, which makes him a sports person. He is born on a full moon day. So the full moon is there in the 12th house. The 12th house indicates the legs. So probably that is the reason, he's the highest run getter. And to be a run getter, you have to run.
Yeah.
And he also has the full sun in the 5th, 6th house, which makes him a very hardworking sports person. But look at that Pluto. The Pluto is there in the 8th house of sports. 8th house is the natural house of sports. and the greatest of sports people normally have the best of planets in the eighth house. Okay, and he has a Saturn. He does have the ascendant Lord in the eighth house, but so many people have ascendant Lord in the eighth house, isn't it? Not everyone becomes a Sunil Gavaskar.
Correct.
But Pluto comes into eighth house once in 250 years, and in its own house. Okay, and that is what makes Sunil Manohar Gavaskar a legend. So the eagle. I mean, he was the guy. I mean, before the Tendulkars and the Dhonis came in,
Yeah.
he was the man.
He was the man.
He was the man. Yeah, he was the man who put the India's pride was because of this one man. He was the one who kept the Indian flag flying high,
Sure.
even in international situations. I mean, he has played during the times when there were no helmets.
Yeah.
Okay, now people have all sorts of protective gears. Okay, to face the to face the Joel Garners and the Malcolm Marshalls, you have to have you need to have extraordinary guts.
Yeah.
You need to have extraordinary willpower, and you need to have. I mean, this man probably at this point of time, then the current generation may not understand the greatness of Sunil Gavaskar because they have seen the Tendulkars and the Sehwags. But this man was a trendsetter. He was a revolutionary. He was the one who changed India's fortunes. Though Tendulkar came at a time when commercially it was exploited. The cricket was commercially exploited very well when Tendulkar debuted. But I would say the greatness actually belongs to Sunil Gavaskar, and the greatness actually can be seen in the eighth house of.
Everybody who's seen cricket, I mean, especially of your and my generation, we have watched Gavaskar grow. I mean, his form, and sometimes I still remember I was so young, I was so particular about form. One test series he played, in which his form, his style of hitting, everything so perfect. Nobody till date I've seen, whether it is Dhoni, Tendulkar, whoever, Virat Kohli or whatever, when it comes to classical form of batting, this man, absolutely master. No doubt he was called, the master.
Yeah. So if you'd have been playing in this time, probably he can beat any of these guys.
Yeah.
Because he scored 10,000 runs in those times when the test matches used to be played very far in between.
Yeah.
Now it's like the calendar is choco block with series. Every you're touring Bangladesh, you're touring Zimbabwe. So in those times, four countries hote the, and they used to go and play with these four countries, and then still he made 10,000 runs.
Yeah.
You would have been playing now, he'll make like 1 lakh runs. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this guy is amazing, really, really amazing. So
I mean, now it is, the cricket boards are so commercialized. So anyway, it's a different game altogether now.
True.
Let's go. Bill Gates. Okay, here I just have a slight difference of opinion on Bill Gates' horoscope. You're taking Karka Lagna. Am I right?
Yeah, Karka Lagna.
Okay, I am taking what you call Gemini, if I remember well, 2105. I mean, I think it is Astro Data Bank I'm referring to. But anyway, we'll go by Karka Lagna.
No, it is. If you go to Astro Data Bank and you also go to even the astrotheme.com, you will see it is Cancer only.
Okay.
They will show us Leo. They will show us Leo because they are using the tropical. So if we use the sidereal degrees, it comes to 3 degrees of Cancer.
Okay. All right. No problem. We'll stick to this thing. No problem. So it's Cancer for him.
Yes, it's Cancer for him. So he was in his chart. Pluto is exalted in the second house. Now it is the fifth lord exalted for him, which is exalted in the second house, and fifth house indicates some kind of inventions, or bringing in some kind of a technology. So technology in some ways is indicated by. Even industries are sometimes indicated by the fifth house, bringing in something which is technological innovation or invention. And the Pluto, which is there in the second house, which is an exaltation, that makes him a billionaire, okay, because of his technological innovation and inventions. So he opened the, like the windows, okay, he brought in a new system. The entire world is running on that system. The entire world is actually using the system that he has invented. It was an invention, it was a technological marvel that he brought in, and because of which he's making the money. And that planet is exalted in the second house. Okay, Pluto exalted in the second house of wealth makes him the richest man in the world. Yeah, and the money comes from the technology, the fifth house. Okay, the fifth house is about bringing in them some kind of an innovation or a technology kind of a work. Okay, which makes him a technocrat. Okay, and of course, because of his technology, he is the business person. And this technology has changed the world. The way people operate. I mean, the way people. I mean, we are actually doing a PowerPoint presentation, so which is invented by him. So yeah. So so that is about Pluto. Okay, the Pluto is the eagle. He's an eagle again, who has soared above people. Of course, he also has so many other planets, like a Saturn in deep exaltation, a Venus well placed. So all of that also adds to it. Okay, but Pluto in the house of wealth, that makes him the wealthiest man in the world.
Okay. Yeah, you spoke about Pluto and wealth. You did speak about Pluto and wealth earlier. You said Pluto, Yama. You said Yama is the richest.
Yeah, Yama is the richest. Yes. So the Pluto people will be the richest actually in the world. So they have more wealth than anyone else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is another man. Oh my God. Okay. So Steve Jobs. Probably one more enter. Will bring in his face. Yeah. So this guy is iconic, isn't he? I mean, he is like he's extraordinary. This man is like, he bought in something which is revolutionary. He stood for revolution.
Yeah.
He stood for innovation. He stood for transformation. He stood for everything which is new, which is pioneering, which is like, I mean, what kind of words can you? I mean, it's like orbit changing.
Yeah.
So that kind of a man, okay, can happen only when you have a Pluto in the first house, isn't it?
Yeah.
The first house is the house of personality, and he was the face of innovation. He was the face of transformation. He literally transformed the entire world. I mean, because of the technology that he bought in, the other companies competed and they bought in the technology. So whatever technological innovation we have today, it's all due to what Steve Jobs bought in. Steve Jobs initiated the whole thing, and everyone else followed later. Okay, so he stands for that innovation. Of course, he has Saturn in deep exaltation, which actually killed him. Saturn, the sixth lord exalted. It also makes him a great thinker. Saturn exalted in the third house also makes him a great thinker, a great speaker. He was a great orator. Okay, but the Saturn was also responsible for his death. Even Chiron fall, even planet Y fall, all of them. But Pluto in the first house, in eagle exaltation, in the avatar of eagle, that makes him what he is. I mean, he flew over all his competitors. There were no competitors actually. He was way above all of them.
Way above.
Okay, now we're talking about a negative exaltation of the Pluto eagle. Okay. Now here we have a gentleman who used the power of Pluto, but for a negative, result. So now here in this case, Pluto is the third lord exalted in the 12th house.
Okay.
So now a scam or any kind of a thing which is which is a negative like thinking, a negative thought process, which brings in something like a scam, can be connected to the third house, because the third house is the house of the mind, isn't it? So his third lord is in deep exaltation in an eagle avatar in his 12th house, and 12th house is the house of losses. So what happened is, he thought of one of the biggest scandals, one of the biggest financial scandals. He was a mastermind of one of the biggest financial scandals in the country.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it resulted into losses. It resulted into, it just fizzled out. I mean, it just rose, but then it just fizzled out. So it was a huge thing. It was a huge thing. He was an eagle in a negative, probably a black, he was a dark eagle, he was an eagle with a shade, with a gray shade or whatever, So he masterminded a destruction. He masterminded something which became a huge bubble, but it was supposed to be a bubble and it just burst and it just frittered away. Yeah. So that is indicated by Harshad's third lord exalted in the 12th house. And of course, there are so many other planets which contributed to that. Okay, now this is a list of all of those gentlemen who are the eagles, and they are of course they are negative as well as positive eagles. So it can be a Vladimir Putin or a Imran Khan or a Oprah Winfrey or a Gina Reinhardt, one of the richest women in the world, or it can be the negative impact of Pluto, like eagles like Osama bin Laden or V. Prabhakaran. It can be Dawood Ibrahim or a Vijay Mallya. So the impact can be positive or negative. So depending upon where they have Pluto, the Pluto can be positively expressed or it can be negatively expressed. But all of these people, I mean, these are some few examples that I've shared so that you can understand what eagle is all about.
Okay. Now
and now we're getting to the grey lizards.
Okay, just for the viewers, if you can just recapitulate what grey lizard stands for.
Yeah, so grey lizards are those people, who see the worst in their lives. Because grey lizard is that patch of Pluto which is a negative Pluto. So negative Pluto means what? You are going through extraordinary life situations where you see what life is all about. You come close to the biggest realities of life, the worst realities of life, the bad realities of life. So this grey lizard people are normally having loads of karma, negative karma accumulated from the past lives, and in this lifetime they have come in so that they can sort of face these karmas and maybe erase these karmas. So which is actually a positive thing, So which means in this lifetime you are killing away all your bad karmas.
Okay.
So you are like, you come face to face, you finish off all your bad karmas, and then you go away in this lifetime. So maybe these people are the chosen ones, So they have got an opportunity to erase all their bad karmas.
Okay.
But in this lifetime, they definitely see a lot of pain. And it is very, very difficult to live their lives, It's very difficult to live a life of a grey lizard. Only if you are one, you will be able to see, you should be able to feel the pain of a grey lizard. Very unfortunate souls, but probably also very lucky souls in a way that they can erase their karmas in this lifetime.
Can I ask a question?
Okay. Yeah, please.
So this segregation, eagle, grey lizard, scorpion, okay? This is not just for Pluto in Leo. It is for any sign Pluto is placed in.
No. It's only when Pluto is in Leo.
Okay.
Only when Pluto is in exaltation in Leo. No other zodiac sign, nowhere else.
Oh.
Only when it is in Leo. Okay. So now we see, Sanjay Dutt being a grey lizard. I mean, I don't know if you look into his chart. If you look at his, I mean, traditionally speaking, the chart seems to be a good one. I mean, he has only the Jupiter is there in the 12th house, we can say. And he has a Sun Mercury in the 9th house. He has a Rahu in the 11th house. Saturn is there in the 2nd house. I mean, it shouldn't be a bad one, except maybe a Mars and Venus conjunction in the 10th house. Otherwise, it's a decent chart. But this guy has been through some extraordinary situations in life. So the Pluto, which is in exaltation in the 10th house, made him born, in a very nice family. So his father was a well-known actor, and a well-known politician. So he was born in a good family. He got a good background. But then what happened? From a very young age, he has been seeing tragedy. So he lost his mother to cancer. Then he himself became an addict. Then, of course, the long journey where, he became a superstar. But despite being a superstar, he has to go to court every day because he became a national villain. And very unfortunate that there are so many people who get away with killing, who murder and get away with that. But this guy was possessing a gun. And for that one gun, he has spent so many years incarcerating in jail. I mean, maybe it's probably sometimes if you look back at Sanjay Dutt's life, it's very unfair actually. There are so many people who get away with murder, and because they are a nobody. Maybe like I mean, I don't know. I'm not really knowing the extent of the crime that he has done, but whatever I know as a layman, I feel that he doesn't really deserve that kind of such a bad treatment that he got. Okay, now whatever he has been through in life, including the drug addiction. Something very interesting I found in the Grey Lizard patch of people who were born between 57 to 61. The biggest number of, this is something which I wanted to tell you, Sunilji, this is something very, very amazing. The highest number of people who are wanted by the CBI. Okay, the international police, the what is it called? I don't know.
Interpol.
Interpol, the people who are on the top list of people, who are wanted by the Interpol, the biggest terrorists in the world, the biggest drug addicts in the world, the biggest criminals in the world, they're all born between 1957 to 61.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Oh my God.
I'm finding a huge, really surprising. Okay. And of course, people like Sanjay Dutt who get, he's not a typical, a Khalnaik, but unfortunately, he became a Khalnaik, and for one mistake that he has done, and he's been vilified all his life. So that is again due to this Pluto, which is an exaltation in Grey Lizard, in a Grey Lizard avatar, in his and it is in the deepest exaltation point in Grey Lizard. And that is the reason poor guy has been through an extraordinarily checkered career where he was a superstar, but he couldn't enjoy the superstardom because he had to go to jail. Yeah. So, what a tragic life, isn't it?
I think his contribution is the Munna Bhai series, especially the second one. My heavy favorite, where Gandhi comes in, Mahatma Gandhi comes in that character, Munna Bhai.
Yeah.
My heavy favorite. Quickly, I just wanted to share something with you and with the readers, something for research that I have been, it is with P.S. Shastri. P.S. Shastri, the late P.S. Shastri was an extreme great scholar. And in one of his books, I think Uttar Kalamrita, if I remember well, K.N. Rao wrote even the introduction or the preface. Okay. P.S. Shastri wrote a book, The Textbook of Scientific Astrology, Part 1, Part 2. We run a bookstore. That is one book we sell like anything, hotcakes, till date. Are you with me? Can you hear me?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Very well. I'm visible?
Yeah, now,
I can hear you very well. Yeah.
The screen got stuck.
Oh, okay. Okay.
P.S. Shastri wrote in his book on Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. He quoted Mahabharata. I think it's in part 1 of his book. Okay.
Okay.
And he quoted a shloka on Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Prajapati, Yama, etc. Okay.
Yes.
And he went on, if I remember well, I read it 12-15 years back. He went on to prove that thing. Then he wrote that if Uranus is in trine with the 7th house, in the natal chart, if it is in trine with the 7th house, then problems in marriage or divorce or problems in marriage or business. Okay. I think he wrote 11th house. Then I found that it's working in trine. Over a period of 10 years, I found it working in trines. I've also found, same situation with Uranus in the Navmansh is trine to the 7th house of the Navmansh.
Okay.
Again, problems in marriage. Same problem I've found with Pluto. Same trines or this, or 7th lord in the 6th house with Pluto. Divorce. I'll just show quickly one chart. Or, see, this is the chart. Here in the Navmansh, if you see, the 7th lord of Venus has gone here. Venus has gone here with Pluto. Okay. This is again a divorce case. Another chart, it's of a famous astrologer, so I don't want to say it. Okay. 7th Lord in the 6th house in Rashi chart. First marriage, divorce, second marriage is on. Okay. In the chart that I showed right now, okay, same, but in the now month. Okay. This I'm finding, but I request the readers, especially the YouTube generation and the Facebook generation, they just take one shloka and stick to it as if it is the start and end of life. They test it like that. Okay. Vedic astrology, you have to see several hundreds of combinations. You should know these combinations. If you don't know these combinations, you should know which combination cancels which combination. Okay. That only a guru will teach. And unfortunately, very few gurus are alive today. Okay, but I'm saying this is a food for thought. Okay, this is something, a study of mine. I wouldn't like to use the word research. Study of mine and observation of mine over 10, 12 years. Broadly, I've seen this working. We'll quickly go to Sanjay Dutt. You finished with him, you know. But Sanjay Dutt, I love that man. You know, somewhere deep down the line, you know, he is that Munna.
Yeah. He's a very nice guy at heart. He's a boy. He's a boy at heart. He's a child at heart.
He's a child at heart. Yeah. And his face sometimes reflects that. His face sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Despite all that has happened to him, I mean, like, he's actually a nice human being, you know. So people call him Munna for that reason, because he's a boy, he's a kid at heart, which is an amazing trait to have. And so unfortunate that such a person has been chosen to be a grey lizard, and had to go through this. But yeah, so that must be so good thing is that probably this will be the end of all of his pains.
I hope so too, because it's so unfortunate, when whatnot his father had to undergo because of him.
Absolutely.
But quickly, I want to say a remedy that Sanjay Dutt practiced while he was in jail, and it came in Mumbai Mirror newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
That when he was in jail, this is the person who was sharing the cell with him, jail cell with him. Okay, he said it. The Sanjay Dutt used to recite Hanuman Chalisa 108 times a day.
Oh, wow.
And there was this guy, NASA scientist. In fact, he even has a blog or something where he has said if anybody recites 108 times Hanuman Chalisa a day for 11 days continuous with full faith, 100% Hanuman has to give darshan. Live darshan. With him, this scientist did it. Okay. He did not get darshan, but his wife got the darshan. His wife got the darshan. With Sanjay Dutt, it so happened that he was, 3-4 floors above or whatever, something like that. And the guy said in that area, there are no monkeys.
Oh.
So Sanjay, this is what came in Mumbai, how far it is true or not, I don't remember. Okay. To keep the banana, he used to keep at the window. And the co-cell owner said, from where these monkeys used to come, we don't know. It is unbelievable. He said, I've been so many years in this jail, monkeys haven't come.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
Hanuman is the monkey god.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all of a sudden, he was out of jail. He was out of jail.
Yeah.
But then, I've seen, I recommended this remedy to a guy in Dubai. Okay. Now, he gave me feedback. He was also doing some other remedies also. But he gave me feedback. His wife and his in-laws had filed a domestic violence case against him. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Completely false.
Oh.
Completely false. And the court case went on for 7 years. 11 days he did this. And after some 2-3 months or something, I contacted him after 6 months. I said, what happened here? You never gave me feedback. He said, oh, my wife is here back in Dubai. All cases stopped.
Oh, wow.
But for 7 years she fought against you, police case, put you and your parents behind bars and everything. She, no, she's forgotten. She says, sorry, I don't know what happened to me. Hanuman Chalisa is a remedy. Okay. It is a remedy that is free of cost. Okay. People just do it. Problem is, we all like very complicated remedies. We go to an astrologer, oh, give me a special mantra as per my horoscope, etc. Problem is, our faith in itself is not there. Okay. Anyway, I like to give people remedies in between so that, they come out of that problem.
True.
Maradona, oh, the man, hand of God.
Okay. So now, what is a very interesting pattern that I've seen with people who are born in the grey lizard patch is that even if they achieve greatness, and many of the grey lizard people achieve greatness because Pluto is the natural ruler of Scorpio, which is the 8th house. And 8th house indicates sports. Sports is one of the major domains which is ruled by, by Scorpio, by the 8th house. So now when you have someone who's born in the grey lizard patch and achieves a greatness in the sport, then there is always a possibility that the person will have some kind of a scandal or the other attached to his life, which is something amazing. I've seen this not only in Maradona's chart, I've seen this in Kapil Dev's chart. Okay, or you look at anyone who's born between 57 to 61 and being a sports star, they always have some kind of a scandal or the other associated with them, which is something amazing. Okay, and Maradona was God. Okay, and the way he won the World Cup was really, really amazing for Argentina. I mean, like, it was something great. And he has Pluto in exaltation in the 10th house. Pluto is in the grey lizard form. He won won this World Cup with. I mean, the World Cup which was there was very, very. I mean, it was the 2 goals which he played in the semi-finals were magical. The final was one of the worst games ever. Could have been played because it was so very highly badly fought one, and it again shows the grey lizard impact. And then finally, they won the World Cup. But what happened after that? I mean, after many years, now what we see of Maradona is a shadow of what he was. He got into the drug scam, the scandals, and so many other things. And so the aura which was created because of Maradona the Great, sort of was diluted a bit because of the grey lizard. So he went through that drugs and then women and so many other things that happened in his life. So all of that, those scandals which are associated with him is all because of the grey lizard Pluto.
Sad case, but I still remember that World Cup, yeah. How from this end of the stadium to that end, how he took the ball. Oh my God. Genius. I mean, absolutely genius. I mean,
yeah. The power and the energy that he had was so amazing. No one can really match that. Yeah, so we spoke about Maradona, how despite his achieving greatness, he was mired in controversies, and he came very close to what life is all about. So you are a god, but then you can even come down. You are just pulled down to earth. Because of this planet. So grey lizard Pluto has brought him down, and the drugs and everything else. That is a typical association of drugs is always done with the grey lizard Pluto.
And when I look at this chart, I always look at planet's dispositor, aspects on the planet, and aspect on planet's dispositor. When I look at this chart, okay, we see Pluto is in the 10th house. Okay. Now the dispositor, it's in Leo. It has gone in the 12th house. Sun has gone in the 12th house of legs.
True.
Sun is fame, and it got him fame. His legs got him fame. Okay, I do agree. At a point of time, his hand got him fame. The hand of God.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go to the next chart. Oh, the beauty.
Yeah. So again, a grey lizard. She had everything. I mean, if you look at the chart, she's like the Saturn in the 3rd house made her a great spokesperson. She was there to speak for many causes, and of course the Jupiter in the 3rd house, which is weekly place, has given her the headaches, the the worries that she has been through. Okay, and finally, the Sun and the Mercury actually killed her. The Sun, Mercury in the 8th house actually killed her. Okay, that is the responsible for the death. But why did she go through this entire journey? Where she was she does belong to a noble family, but then from there to becoming the princess, and the princess whom the entire world loved. She was everyone wanted to be every girl wanted to be a Diana. you know and she was the epitome of beauty. She was the epitome of grace. Her marriage was the wedding of the century. All of those things. Okay, but finally they ended in tragedy. They ended in that kind of the gory death. And of course, even while living, she actually was not living a very nice life. She went through hell. She went through a husband who was parting ways from her. And I mean, she went through a very, very painful marriage. Her career was very checkered, despite being in that position of being a princess. She was floating all the norms. Actually, I mean, the way she was actually going against the grain was not really liked by many people. The royalty didn't really like the way she was actually, the stiff, upper lip of the British, was really rattled by Diana to some extent. But yeah, then the life that she led was a typical grey lizard life, where it started with a great bang, a great glorious life, but then finally ending in a sad story. Of course, she died young because of Sun Mercury in the 8th house. Also,
speaking of Sun Mercury, my input in this chart again is that same method of dispositor of Pluto going in the 8th house of death. It is Sun. Sun is royal. She was the royal person at that time.
Absolutely.
It is in Gemini. She was traveling at that time, a short travel. Okay.
Correct.
It is with Mercury. Okay. Mercury also denotes travel, also denotes journalists or the paparazzi.
Yeah.
And also, this Sun is also the dispositor of Rahu, which is again photography. So that kind of thing, and this is a very sad case. I mean, the other way to look at this horoscope is when I use Bhrigu Jyotish techniques. Okay, I've mentioned this in my article. It's also in my book on Bhrigu Saral Paddhati. I think I released it 4 months back or something like that. And whenever Saturn and Jupiter are conjoined together, okay, it will influence Mesha Rashi wherever Mesha Rashi is sitting. Where is Mesha? Here. Okay. It will destroy one thing, or it will activate one thing about Mesha Rashi and destroy it. Okay. Here, Mesha is in the 6th house of accidents, court cases, Sapatni. 6th house is Sapatni. Okay. Sapatni, Brihad Parashara Hora Shastra, chapter 11, shloka number 6, Parashar Rishi says Sapatni. Okay, that means the other mistress, the other one. And that is what she had to face, and also in both ways she had to face that.
Yeah.
And Akala Mritya, 6th house is Akala Mritya, which is untimely death. And that is what happened to her.
True.
So, many ways, I am saying you combine Bhrigu Jyotish, you combine Pluto, you combine Parashari, Gemini. If 3-4 techniques are pointing to the same point,
true,
that is when an astrologer is confident and he predicts. We should not, I keep on repeating to all the young ones who watch YouTube videos and have learned astrology, okay, and I have criticized our own YouTube channel, okay. I criticize basically being a Gemini, I play the good, bad, ugly, So, I don't see anything wrong in saying the truth. And the truth is, yes, YouTube today is the medium, but that's not the medium to understand your horoscope. You need to learn the Shastra, you need to learn books, okay? Because I see, these days I started sitting in the readings, what we do, our astrologers do. And I see the young ones, they have only watched 2 or 3 YouTube channels and have watched, 50, 100 videos, and they are worrying about their horoscope.
Yeah.
And that is not the way. That is not the way. Okay, I understand some YouTube channels on purpose do not say something negative, but people gather the negatives from other YouTube channels also. So astrology is all about accepting your positives, your negatives, facing.
Yeah, exactly. That is an absolute important thing that you're saying. Because many people come to me, and so when I tell them, I tell them that, see, my way of explaining astrology is very simple. To tell you that these are the positive factors in your life. These are the areas where you can make it absolutely wonderfully well. You can do very well. But these are the areas where you will face the challenges. You can't eliminate them. The key is in learning to handle them. And because you haven't handled those challenges in some lifetime, that is the reason they've come back again in this lifetime to you. And if you don't handle them right now, then they will again come back to you. So you'll again face the same situation in some lifetime again. So why go to that? So ensure that you understand the trouble and face it head on. Handle it. And then you move on. And then, of course, focus on all the positives in your chart. So that if you look into the positives of your chart and then you focus there, then you can be the best of what you can be. Don't focus on the negatives. Handle the negatives and focus on the positives.
Very nice, very nice. But I feel so sad for her,
Yeah, very true, very true.
She was a dream come true, Everybody wanted to marry her.
Yeah.
All girls wanted to be in her position, and
Yeah.
we guys, okay. The other
True.
Anyway, Grey Lizard. John F. Kennedy Jr. Yeah, you mentioned you're going to speak about that.
Yeah, yes. So, if you're talking about John F. Kennedy Jr., Grey Lizard Pluto in the first house. Now, this is a distinction between the Eagle Pluto, a Scorpio Pluto, and Eagle Pluto, Scorpio Pluto, and a Grey Lizard Pluto. If you have a Eagle Pluto in the first house, you become an innovator, you become a pioneer, you become a path-breaking person. You are a larger-than-life person. You go from a nobody to a eagle. You become someone huge. You have something. You have a Pluto exalted in the ascendant of the Pluto version, the Scorpion version. Then you become someone. You start with some troubles initially in life, but then you overcome all the troubles, and then you again soar high. You become large. But when you have a Grey Lizard exalted in the ascendant, then you succumb to the problems. You go through hell. You go through real troubles in life. And then, life really, so this is one unfortunate, I would say, the Grey Lizard is that one patch where many a times, even people lose the fight. Okay, you need strong strength to really fight it out. But of course, many times the Grey Lizard is so powerful that the fate can take over and it can kill you. So in his case, that is what it has done. See, I've seen many people born with Grey Lizard and with Pluto in the ascendant. What I've seen is that they are not able to achieve the best of what they can be, despite having all the talent in the world. Okay, I'll give you one example. There was an actor called Raghu Varan. Okay, I don't know if you have you ever heard of this guy called Raghu Varan. He did this role of there was a movie Shiva. जिसमें villain का role किया था.
Villain का ना?
Villain का role किया था.
Oh.
You know the guy, brilliant guy. In Shiva, the villain guy, that guy has. I personally met him, and he's no more actually. Okay, very unfortunate. And he probably could have been one of the greatest villains ever produced by India. He had amazing acting skills.
Amazing. His eyes, his face was intense.
Absolutely intense. Okay, and he was a great actor. There was one scene in a movie where he can say, he said, "I know." See, he said, "I know" in some 20 different ways. Huh?
Okay.
So now, what happened to this gentleman is that he became a drunkard, and the drink killed him. So what happens is, and he has this Pluto in the first house. He is a Leo ascendant, and he had Pluto exalted in the first house. And I have seen many people, normal people like you and me. I was just talking to another gentleman recently. He was a very highly educated person. He did IIT, one of the toppers in IIT. He went to Muscat. He was working in Air India in India for many years, a few years, and then he got a job at Muscat Airways, and he went there. He thought, I'm going to have a great job. He's like a brilliant person, huh? Tall, fair, very, very well versed. If you talk to him, intelligence just flows out of this guy. And this gentleman, for 30 years of his life, was stuck in a job and he didn't get a single promotion. He was stuck in a job, and because of whatever the situation is, like, I mean, in Muscat, they were not promoting the non-Arabic people or whatever, and there were so many things that were going around. He didn't get a promotion. He didn't get anything at all.
Right.
There is another lady, whom I saw, she was doing so well in her life. She was having a great corporate life. And one fine day, she comes back home and she sees that her husband has got a paralytic attack. And very young age, she was a topper. She was she's even an IIM graduate. And she was in a very good job. She was a vice president in one company. And then her husband became partially paralyzed. And then now he's like almost completely paralyzed. And her children are all, the child is educated and is living abroad. And she has no choice but to, do the seva for her husband. And she has been doing for ages. So if you look into a chart, there is nothing that explains except for this Pluto, which is there in the first house. So even that gentleman I was talking about who's in Muscat, again, the Pluto in the first house. So what it does is the Pluto doesn't allow you, the grey lizard Pluto, I'm talking about the grey lizard Pluto. Grey lizard born people 57 to 61, if it is there in the first house, it doesn't allow you to reach your potential. So it just makes you get stuck. Despite you having all the potential in the world, unfortunately, you're not able to sort of capitalize on that. So if you're looking at John F. Kennedy Jr., I mean, he was destined to probably, go to that place. Whatever you call it as a Kennedy curse or whatever you call it as. But unfortunately, he was supposed to board that flight and, die. And that was really what was destined in his life. And probably would have been one of the great politicians, but that never really happened. His life was cut short, again by Pluto in the first house. Okay, now we have Barack Obama as a grey lizard. I'm sure people will be surprised, as to how can Barack Obama be a grey lizard, Now, if you actually look at when did Barack Obama become a president, that will tell us a story of why Barack Obama is a grey lizard. If you see, Barack has Pluto in grey lizard in 8th house. And when he became the president for the first time in 2008, America was going through the worst economic crisis. America, after the 1920s, the Black Friday happened, and so many, the worst economic crisis after 2000, after the 1929, the worst economic situation happened in 2008 when Barack Obama became the president. So Barack Obama didn't have a great, he didn't have a rosy life.
Yeah.
He was not, he may be he had all the security in the world and he must be, flying by his private jet and stuff, whatever jets used by the American, system. But the point is that despite being the most powerful man in the world, did he have a life of bed of roses? It was not so. Probably all the presidents before him must have had fantastic lives.
Yeah.
I mean, a Bill Clinton or the George Bushes and all the other people who were before him, all the presidents, all the Roosevelts and everyone before him, they must have really had a rocking time being presidents. Their lives would have been fantastic. Even post their retirement or, post being president, they would have had a great life. But this gentleman, for all those 8 years he was there in the office, he was actually fighting against the system to ensure that the country comes out of this red.
Sure.
The country was in deep red. That can be actually seen from his chart. If you see that the Pluto is an exaltation in the 8th house. And 8th house is all about other people's money.
Yeah.
So, what was he doing? What was Obama doing is he was directing the country. The entire country is other people's money for him, isn't it?
Yeah.
So he was channelizing the entire American's life towards getting better. Okay, he was presiding over America at a time when America was going through the worst economic crisis and he was handling it. So probably he was chosen to be there at that point of time. He was the chosen one to lead America to a situation when they were going through the worst economically.
Yeah.
And it is there in the 8th house of other people's money. So he was handling other people's money and ensuring that Pluto comes out of the red. I mean, the country comes out of the red. So the entire phase was tough. He has been through the tough times, but he also ensured that America, gets into a better situation than it was before 2008.
Sure. And also his end of presidency. At that time, it was so sad that he has been targeted by Donald Trump.
Yeah. It's very unfortunate that he was actually, he was the guy who was at the helm and ensured that America comes out of the red, and he's not being credited for that. And people are not, he should actually, he got a Nobel Prize, isn't it? What did he get? Yeah, he got a Nobel Prize. Yeah. So all of that happened, but the Nobel Prize was not more for his economic thing than it was for something else, isn't it?
Peace, I think so. For peace, he got it.
Yeah, peace. It was for peace. It was not for the activity that he actually did. He was responsible for ensuring that. Actually, America could have gone to the dogs.
Yeah.
Those 8 years could have really, really pulled America back. America could have gone from this number one superpower in the world, the number one economy in the world. It could have actually come down, maybe to the 10th number.
Yeah.
But Obama was there. He was ensuring that it stayed there, okay, and he got it out of the red. And all the presidents who are coming after Obama, they are going to reap the benefits of all the hard work that Obama has done. But poor Obama will not get the credit for that. So the presidents who are coming after him will get the credit for that. So that's how it happens with grey lizards.
You should do a session with me on the USA chart.
Oh, okay.
We should do that. We've just formed Saptarishis Astrology USA, our business unit in America, and we formed just a new YouTube channel for US. Yeah, very new. So you could take up USA chart, Donald Trump, or whoever's chart you.
The American presidents.
Yeah.
The American presidents. Yeah.
We can do a series on the American presidents.
Yes.
And I will also tie you up with one of our ladies over there. So she is very well connected with the politics happening also.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
interesting.
She's kind of consulting me via someone. But she's. I do not want to say Senate or anything like that. But okay, kind of thing. So we can get some good thing as what's happening there. Because most of the news is very filtered.
True.
The news is very filtered. It doesn't. The true picture doesn't come out. Honestly.
Correct. Yeah.
But anyway, Barack Obama. Honestly, I really feel thorough gentleman.
Absolutely.
It's a shame today what presidency has happened. He was one guy who brought back the American presidency status.
Absolutely.
No scandals. And I still remember so many people, Rahu Mars in the 8th house, he's not going to survive the presidency, he's going to get killed, assassinated. So many best of astrologers predicted, including me. I felt that too, because he was a black, and they say a black cannot become a president,
Yeah.
So I felt that too, after seeing so many great people predicting. And today I've seen those best of astrologers are extremely quiet about their past predictions. Of course, so would I be. If I commit a mistake in the past, why would I kind of blast it? That's human nature. But anyway.
Yeah. So now a very similar kind of a placement has happened for Michael Fox.
Yeah.
Okay. And what has happened is it has given him he has Alzheimer's, isn't it? Alzheimer's?
I think so.
Yeah. So Alzheimer's or Parkinson's, I don't know. Okay, so whatever. So either of the two. At what age? At the age of 29. So one planet, while it has resulted in one man changing the fortunes of the country by taking care of the other people's money. He was responsible for changing. The same position of Pluto in the 8th house, in the grey lizard avatar, what it has done, it has given him a disease which is degenerating. It's a very degenerating disease, isn't it? So it just slowly and steadily degenerates you. So that the 8th house Pluto has actually done that to him. It has it has given him that degenerative disease, and that too at a very, very young age. At the age of 29, he contracted that. So, yeah. So Pluto is in Grey Lizard Avatar in 12 degrees, which is the deepest exaltation for that.
Again, you see Jupiter, Saturn, the Brigu technique. Jupiter, Saturn is in the Lagna. It will destroy one aspect of Mesha, Aries. First house. First house is your whole body. First house is your complete health. That's unfortunately happened. He's my absolute favorite. This man, the Back to the Future series. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I mean, the way he would say, "Hey Doc, hey Doc," the way he would say that. Oh my God. Oh, that is.
Okay, so now this guy has been. This guy really fascinated me. I mean, someone who killed people and ate them. I mean, what kind of a sick mind it would be, isn't it? The mind has to be really, really, really sick. You have to be really a madman. You must be really what kind of words can you use for this guy who kills people and then he eats them? Okay, he's a cannibal. So he has the third lord exalted in the 12th house. So third house indicates the mind. So the mind has gone to the dogs. I mean, you see, it is exactly similar to what Harshad Mehta had. So Harshad Mehta had the third lord exalted in the 12th house, that is the eagle avatar. So being the third house is the house of the mind. So Harshad Mehta thought of a scam and the scam didn't materialize, it went down the drain. And this guy had a sick mind, which ensured that many people were killed. So, I mean, he killed many people and he ate them. This can only be done by somebody who has a grey lizard mind, And grey lizard is all about death.
One is grey lizard and one is the eagle,
Yeah.
Comparing Harshad Mehta and this man, okay?
Yeah.
This man killed people, ate them, okay?
Yeah.
I still see a kind of similarity between him and Harshad Mehta. Because of Harshad Mehta saw to it that several people committed suicide.
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
Several people committed suicide because of the financial scam that he did. Several people were bankrupt for years and years. I still remember my father, okay, because of the Harshad Mehta scam, we lost all our money. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, we lost all our money. Okay. So the point is what I'm trying to say here is, okay, I mean, I was very young, so it didn't impact me much. I didn't even realize the effect of it, But when I think of this, when I think of people who are into financial scams and this, it's just one way of looking at it. At the end of the day, okay, whether I ate somebody's flesh or not, I was the person responsible in the decay of generations to come. In people's life, their whole generations will be drowned.
Impact. Exactly. That's exactly what is that is the impact of the eagle. So the eagle has impact on generations because it comes once in 256 years. It just came in and this guy was born and he did the biggest scandal. And you exactly use the right word. It is going to impact generations to come. All the savings wiped off.
And you can't believe, I grew up in Ghatkopar. For 43 years of my life, I stayed in Ghatkopar. Ghatkopar is a Gujarati community, Marwari Gujarati Jain community. Okay. Complete Ghatkopar. And it's thousands and thousands, 100,000s of people, more than that, couple of this thing, they'll probably fill up New York. Okay. But everybody used to be obsessed with Harshad Mehta. They used to worship him. Like we have a very famous Siddhivinayak temple in Ghatkopar, which is considered second to the Dadar temple, Siddhivinayak.
Oh.
Yeah. And on Tuesdays, you should see it's like miles of lines of people, okay, just praying for the Aarti. And it used to be said Harshad Mehta comes over there, Harshad Mehta's brother comes over there or something. And people used to be so obsessed with him. Have you seen his horoscope? Have you seen that horoscope? okay, about Harshad Mehta, I should be like, my God. And people used to say, okay, Harshad Mehta se abhi tip mila hai. Ye upar jayega. Okay. I mean, people, even now, people are obsessed with, what a man. Come on, that man saw to it that people committed suicide. People's lives were ruined. Many people could not complete their education. Many people's daughters and sisters could not get married because of this man. You know, many people's family could not treat their elders or children in hospitals. You know, and
Correct.
the problem is stock market. Now we are so obsessed with money. We justify it. We love if a person like Harshad Mehta comes to us and shows the horoscope. We'll take a photograph, put it behind us, and blast it on Facebook or YouTube. That's the generation of astrologers, and I say it openly. I don't care to hoots. You know, most astrologers, they hate me because I say it. You know, but I feel there needs to be some kind of sensibility and responsibility of having a grace of astrology and money. You know, a little bit, it's okay, I can understand. But taking it to such an extent, because I still remember, you know, everybody in those days, I was just starting off in astrology, and every Tom, Dick, and Harry, please tell me the reason why Harshad Mehta is so rich. Arey, yaar, you tell me why Mahatma Gandhi has done such great karma. Let us see Mahatma Gandhi's horoscope. Nobody wants it. Anyway. But it's a good comparison you're given of Mehta and this thing, both having the same combinations. You know, it's such a good thing you're given. Let's go to the next one. Okay, more gray.
So these are some more of the gray lizards. Okay, so I mean, it can be. You look at all of these people here. It's very interesting. Everyone's life has been touched by some kind of a problem or the other. Okay, look at a Michael Jackson.
Oh my God.
I mean, he's gone through hell. He has gone through transformation also. He's gone through complete physical transformation.
Yeah.
Okay, he was from a black, he became a white. Okay, and of course, he all of those things that happened. Okay, and then look at the Anil Ambani and Mukesh Ambani, both of them are grey lizard. That's the reason they fought.
Yeah.
The reason they fought in the first place, and they have two different companies. Why it could have been one organization, but then again because of that, Albert of Monaco had a lot of challenges with succession. His children, who will succeed him and all that. Again, all of that is an 8th house karma. Malcolm Marshall died young. Okay, or a Neetu Singh going through those challenges, or a Raghuvaran died young. Ashok Chavan, okay, the chief minister. Okay, Mahesh Manjrekar again going through challenges because he was associated with Munna, Madonna, or it can be Magic Johnson, Silk Smitha, and all of
she went through hell. Huh? She went through hell.
She went through hell,
and she was so popular. She would burn the screen. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Her presence would burn the screen. Oh my God. McEnroe, John McEnroe. Oh my God. The most abusive player in a way. Very eccentric, very erratic.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And Sarika, she has gone against every norm that you can think of. She married with a child. After she became pregnant, I mean, she had 2 children and then she got married. She did all those things. And then unfortunately, then she has to leave the man whom she loved the most. And look at the top 4-5 names, all of them are the top, people, the Victor Manuel and Glenn, they are in the top list of the CBI wanted. The Prince Ahmed bin Salman, he is the one who is accused to be knowing the entire 9/11, the entire episode. They say that he knew it, before the event happened. Then David Headley, we know. Tiger Mayman was the person behind the entire thing. Nina Gupta, we know what she has been through. I mean, or Terry Fox, okay, the man who had that problem in the limb. He died early. Okay, but then he ran that marathon to ensure that people knew about all of this. So all these people, they have all been through hell. They've all been through hell. They've been, or they are convicts, or they are criminals, or people who genuinely were troublemakers. If they're good people, then they've been through hell, or they're genuine troublemakers. They were born in situations where it was they're supposed to, like go through that kind of. I mean, in fact, if I'm going to look at the eagle, what is his name of now? The most wanted criminal by India, who's now in Pakistan? What's his
Now
name?
Ibrahim.
Dawood Ibrahim is an eagle.
Oh.
So he's an eagle. So he's an eagle. That's the reason he's not being caught so far. So he did everything and he escaped. Okay, so he was responsible for all of those things, crimes, but then he escaped and he lived a nice life. Despite being everyone knows that he's the one, he's the mastermind, but nobody is able to catch him. Okay, and of course these guys, the grey lizards, are the ones who work for these eagles, who do all the work, and they are the deadly ones. And even if you look at the biggest terrorist in the world, he's also an eagle. Osama bin Laden, he was also an eagle. So they commit the biggest of crimes.
Okay.
The largest of crimes are committed by the eagles, and the grey lizards are the ones. Of course, they are the executors. They do it. They are the lower cadre people. Who go and get done, and they get caught, and they go through that extreme grind. Of crime, sex, drugs, all those. That underworld. Actually, the underworld is typically shown by the grey lizard.
I know you spoke about sex. Michael Jackson has Pluto with Mercury. Mercury is called the young prince, the teenagers, or before the teenager, whatever, that kind of thing.
Adolescents.
Yeah, and he was accused of that, or probably convicted also, whatever,
Correct, yeah.
So the sex part of him and child abuse.
Yes. All of these things all these crimes are connected to the 8th house, and which is a natural, the 8th house is a Scorpio, and it is ruled by Pluto. So Pluto in turn rules all these crimes, all the underworld crimes, all those crimes which are well planned and well executed, and all the dirty, ugliest crimes that you can think of, or you can never think of. They're all ruled by the grey lizard, Pluto.
Okay.
So now we come into the Scorpions. Okay, so they initially see some trouble, they go through some problems, and then they come out of the problems, and then they do it in a big way. Okay, so now there is some kind of a confusion regarding the birth details of Shah Rukh Khan. It is like, the person who has been to the hospital where Shah Rukh Khan was born. Okay, so there they say that the record is between 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. falls in in Leo ascendant. Okay, but in a Twitter handle once it was replied on behalf of, we don't know if it has been really answered by Shah Rukh himself or it was answered by someone else who handles his Twitter handle. He said that he was born at 6:30 in the morning, so which makes him a Libra ascendant. Okay, but I still feel that it's a Scorpio ascendant, because only then it comes in the ascendant, and it makes him the King Khan. See, you have a Pluto in deep exaltation in the Scorpio in 24 degrees, and when it comes into the first house, then you become a king. You are a king. You are the Raja. And if you'd have been born about 250 years before, then he would have been a real king. And now he's called a Badshah. He's called as a king of Bollywood. So, which is as good as being a king. And he lives in a home which is as good as a mansion, which a king will live. Yeah? So, very, very clearly personifies Pluto in exaltation in the first house. Even if you look at it as the Libra ascendant, it will still be exalted in the 11th house. So 11th house is the house of return on investments, the money, and your second half of life. He has been living in Bollywood he's been ruling Bollywood for the last 25 years, and it doesn't seem it's going to end soon. So again, so either way, so it is going to be Leo ascendant or a Libra ascendant, but I firmly believe it is a Leo ascendant. His life has been tremendous, and he is born with Pluto in 24 degrees, which is like, wow. There's nothing in the chart really makes him such a great.
Yeah, and if you look at the dispositor of Pluto, goes in the third house of acting with Neptune, shows his versatility also.
Okay. Yeah,
Kind
that's
of.
true. And Sun is weak, Jupiter is weak. None of the planets are really in strong positions,
Hmm.
which can make him a Shah Rukh Khan. Shah Rukh Khan is huge. Just a Venus in fifth house cannot make him a Shah Rukh Khan. It has to be something really, really big. Yeah. Yeah. So let's go to the next one.
1, 2, 3, lady.
Yeah. So now this lady is like, wow, she is okay. And she has got Pluto in the 10th house. That is what makes her the great Madhuri Dixit.
Hmm.
Okay, I mean, like, she has a Jupiter exalted in the 9th house, which definitely made her go abroad. She lived in a foreign country. Okay, but Pluto exalted in the 10th house is what makes her the diva herself. The queen of hearts, the Madhuri Dixit, the Dag Dag girl.
How
Yeah.
sure? How sure are you of the birth time?
Okay, now here again, there are two. Either ways, it is going to be coming to a good one. One is I have a time of birth which talks about the Leo ascendant,
Okay.
and the other one is about the Scorpio ascendant. So we have two ascendants. One is the Leo, and the other one is Scorpio.
Okay.
So either ways, it is either in the first house or in the 10th house.
Okay. This is I incidentally forgot. I know a guy from few years. He is very well known to Madhuri, and
Uh-huh.
she has also shown her hand to him. He's a good palmist in US.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And incidentally,
Uh-huh.
he is saintly man's daughter when she was probably 7, 8 years old. Okay,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
she told Madhuri that you will marry a doctor. Yeah, I have the photograph of that girl. Okay, I don't
Uh-huh.
want to say the name of the person now, because her father is a very popular person, and there has been some controversy somewhere. Okay, so I don't want to promote that thing, but this is what was told that you are a nitrak dancer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it did not say actor.
Mm-hmm.
Said you are a dancer and you
Mm-hmm.
will marry a doctor. She was probably
Mm.
7, 8 years old at that time. The girl was that way. So I'll
Yeah.
try and get the birth time from him.
Yeah, and yeah. So this is the second horoscope I had. The first horoscope which I think again is with her Scorpio. I mean, her Leo ascendant.
Hmm.
When the Leo comes in the ascendant, what happens is Jupiter becomes a fifth lord, and it gets exalted in the 12th house. So the 12th house Jupiter exaltation makes her a great dancer, and the 12th house exaltation of Jupiter also makes her go abroad, live in a foreign country for a long time.
Okay.
Okay. And then, of course, the Pluto exalted in the first house makes her a great, phenomenal, Madhuri Dixit that she is.
True. True.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, this chart is very correct. Okay, so there is no ambiguity in the chart. Okay, so now if you look at his chart, he has. See, Salman Khan is that one gentleman, whom I have been really fascinated by. I remember, 25 years before when I was in my school, when I used to ask a girl, so who's your favorite actor? Okay, the girl would very coyly say Salman Khan, And then I went to my college, then I did my, I started working. So there also I used to ask people, they used to say the same thing. And after 25 years, even now when I train people, youngsters, young girls, 18-year-olds and 20-year-old girls, when I ask them, who's your favorite actor, they still coyly say Salman Khan, okay, which is like amazing. This guy has the 8th Lord exalted in the 5th house. So Pluto is the 8th Lord exalted in the 5th house for him. Pluto is the house of sexuality. Pluto, when you have the 8th Lord exalted in the 5th house, it makes an actor who is very sexually appealing. Okay. So Salman Khan is he's probably one of the most handsome men in the world, top 10 men, most handsome men in the world.
Yeah.
and also the fact that he is the. I mean, women find him so attractive. I mean, I don't know if how many men also find him very attractive, but he is the I mean, the sex symbol, the male sex symbol, and that comes from the being that eighth lord being exalted, and the eighth lord is exalted where? It is exalted in the fifth house, and fifth house is all about the movies, the stardom, films, and everything. So he's an icon. He's a cultural icon. He's a great. I mean, like. He may not be a great actor, okay, but then he is an entertainment guru. Okay, he's an entertainer. He's a great entertainer. He's loved by the masses, and of course, he's a sex symbol, and all of that comes from the Pluto. Pluto, the eighth lord, being exalted in the fifth house.
He's also a great human being. That's what I've heard. In Dan Dharam, he's donation, helping people out of the way. And also, the eighth lord in the fifth house shows his love affairs, how it has, gone haywire.
Exactly.
The transformation, sorry, case.
Yeah. True. Very true. He's a great human being. I mean, that is for sure. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so now we're looking at Akshay Kumar. Akshay Kumar has a fabulous chart. Okay, now this is also a very, very correct horoscope. There is no ambiguity. This birth details are absolutely perfect. It has been got from Akshay Kumar himself. Okay. I mean, some friend got it from him directly and gave it to me. So he has got like Sun in 10th house, Venus in 10th house, but then look at that Pluto in exaltation, the ascendant lord exalted in the 10th house. Okay, so now that makes him like being the Badshah, okay, one of the greatest actors in the country, okay, and he's doing very well. I mean, like his legacy is going to go on and on for many years. And the Jupiter exalted in the 9th house probably also gave him a stint in a foreign country. He lived there for a few years, and of course the Pluto. He
was a cook, right?
Abroad? Yeah, he was a cook. Yeah, he was a cook abroad. Yeah. And that we've seen somewhere.
Yeah, second lord in the 9th house. So second is cooking, food.
Okay.
So, and that is exalted. So that was needed for his bhagya to be completed and then the next step to come.
Correct. Yes.
Mars in the first house gives him that martial arts.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yes.
And it is the sixth lord in the Lagna. So obviously his first few movies would focus on that.
Correct.
And with Mercury in the 11th house, okay, I think he has Mercury, right? In the 11th
house? Mercury in the 11th house, yeah, correct.
Of Virgo, shows his comedy stint. I mean, they are the best ones he's ever done.
True.
I mean, his timing as an actor in comic roles. He actually, his fortune changed. His next phase of acting started with the comic roles he did. Hera Fairy, there's that. All that. It started with that, and it is with Uranus, which shows that it will have a very great impact in years to come. Years to come. I mean,
true.
This looks quite a decent horoscope for him.
Yeah, very.
Moon, Neptune, and Ketu in the 12th house. I can understand now how it's fitting. That's a great horoscope, actually.
Yeah.
Next one.
Very good horoscope. Yes. Yeah, this again is a very correct horoscope. So if you're looking at Kumar Mangalam Birla, he has Jupiter exalted in the ascendant. Of course, that gives him the legacy where he's coming from. But look at the Pluto. Pluto is in 24 degrees and it is there in the second house. Second house is the house of wealth. Okay, he has exactly the same position. I mean, it's almost like Bill Gates. Bill Gates is having the eagle, Pluto exalted in the second house. And Kumar Mangalam Birla has the scorpion Pluto, which is an exaltation in the second house. This makes him a Bill Gates of India, so something like that. So very,
Mhm.
very strong Pluto gives him the money. Yes.
Oh, magic man.
Yeah. So this is one chart which I was like, I was trying to decipher as to what is it indicating actually, and now when you actually, like now after he won the Oscars,
Hmm.
when I got his birth detail, actually I got his birth detail some 8 years before.
Hmm.
So at that point of time, I was doing a lot of research on Pluto, so I was not able to make out as to why is it his 12th lord exalted in 9th. Okay,
Mhm.
so he has a 12th lord exalted in 9th house. Okay, so now his being a great entertainer, I would explain it by the X in the 7th house and the Jupiter exalted in the 8th house and all that. But why? I mean, like the Pluto is the most important planet for me.
Hmm.
And what does the Pluto indicate? The 12th lord exalted in the 9th house. I always used to wonder why. Okay, now after he won the Oscars,
Hmm.
now it is making a lot of sense for me. Okay, because this image, where he's holding the two Oscars in his hands, it actually sort of summarizes his whole life. So this man, okay, born in India, went international.
Hmm.
Okay, he made a movie, and he made a music. I mean, he's done so much for Indian music. I mean, none of his movies, I mean, they all have been appreciated, but he didn't get this kind of a recognition in India. I mean, the Indian recognition will always come, but the biggest recognition that he always got, I mean, the biggest recognition that any person can ever get is the international recognition, and that is the Oscars.
Yeah.
Okay, when you have the 12th lord exalted in 9th house, and you get international success.
Hmm.
Okay, the success is huge. And his being the Pluto, which is in deepest exaltation, makes him get this huge international recognition, and that is getting the Oscars. So that planet has actually given him that. So Pluto here gives him the Oscars and the international recognition.
Yeah. Also, the way I look at it is, there's one thing I read about him in 1998 or something like that, or 2000, I don't remember now, is he had been to an astrologer
Yeah.
in Chennai. The
Mhm.
man told him, change your religion and your fortune will change.
True.
This would be quoted in Star Teller somewhere. Okay, I do
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
know how far it is true. And we know
Yeah.
he changed to Islam,
Yeah. Correct. He has converted to Christian. Yes. Islam. Yeah.
something like that. So,
Yeah, and that is the 9th house. The
ninth
exaltation is the 9th
ninth
house.
house of religion. And Pluto
Yes.
shows the transformation, the change, the change,
Yes.
you know.
Wow. Yeah, that's a very beautiful point that you said, Sunil. Yeah. Very true. Very true. Yeah, that's a new thing which I saw. You saw. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Interesting. Yeah.
and he's got Venus in the sign of Capricorn. Now, what I've noticed about Capricorn is whenever a planet sits in that sign, okay,
Mhm.
so Venus, okay, second house of income, okay, second house of profession also, okay, and Venus is there, okay, all right, he is uh, in the Venusian profession, okay,
Correct.
okay, but it is also you say that it is his sixth lord of income, okay, sixth lord of service. So he will be associated with the Venusian field. It's fine. But Capricorn, the way I look at it is Leo Lagna. We always say for example, Shah Rukh Khan, Leo Lagna. Okay, Shah Rukh Khan is Leo Lagna, right? With the
Yeah.
field.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Capricorn comes in the sixth house.
Hmm.
Leo Lagna people, we always say king. Why king? Because he finishes his enemies.
Hmm.
Because Capricorn is Magarmach, the crocodile. And the
Hmm.
crocodile has that jaw lock, always gulping things, always uh,
Yeah.
it always wants to capture and be the king, whether they want it or not, whether they do it directly or indirectly. In his case, A.R. Rahman is such a brilliant guy. His music finished other people's music. His music finished other people's music. You know, there was a phase when it was only A.R. Rahman for 10, 12 years, whatever.
Yeah.
He brought in fresh music. Nobody could think of that. You know,
Yeah.
you
True.
know. So
And he bought something new. I mean, amazing. You never heard any kind of a music like that before.
I
The
mean,
way.
people speak about his Slumdog Millionaire and all that, but for me, Rosa and all that.
Wow.
I mean, the point is, the younger generation is a different breed. They don't go back in history and observe somebody's music or somebody's movies, But Rosa and all that was like everybody was in a dream. I remember, I think I was still in college or a short of at that point of time. Everybody was in a dream with that kind of music.
Absolutely,
All his music was so original. So original. I mean, as a composer, I still remember stories of him that when he was mixing, he would throw the best of directors out of the studio. He would only mix it alone. That was at that time when I was in the movie industry, even the most famous Bollywood directors, he'll say, no, you just take the final product. When I'm mixing, I have to be alone. He would lock himself for hours and hours and hours. He wouldn't allow anybody. And of course, that's his key secret, I mean, mixing is the key secret for a composer, actually.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it was amazing. The music is like, wow. Now, this is Timothy McVeigh. This guy was the homegrown terrorist of America. The first terrorist to terrorize America before 9/11 happened.
Oh.
So he actually, I don't remember the year, okay, but he was responsible for the largest number of killings that ever happened due to terrorist activity in America before 9/11 happened.
Sure.
And this entire building, there was a truck full of, and this guy was a militant. I mean, he was in military. He was an American military. Then he sort of, fought against his own people. Then he became a rebel kind of a guy, and then he just was so angry and upset that he just planted these bombs and then exploded, and the explosives killed some. I don't know. I don't remember the exact number. I think around 300 people, and that was a huge number. I mean, and this guy, if you see, he has Pluto in exaltation, that is a Scorpion exaltation in the 3rd house. So if you see all the 3 criminals that we discussed, or people with a criminal mind, they all have a 3rd house connection.
Yeah.
Arshad Mehta, okay, or that Jeffrey Dahmer and this guy Timothy McVeigh, okay, those two had 3rd lord in exaltation in the 12th, and he has the planet itself in the 3rd house. And 3rd house is the house of the mind. Okay, so the terrorists, see, for terrorists, the terrorism that comes in the mind, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so they had Pluto in the mind, and Pluto is the planet of terrorism. So terror on mind. Okay, and they went and created terror. So that is a simple connection. The Pluto is a planet of terror, and when you carry that planet on your mind, then what do? You create terror. That is what they did. Okay. And on the other day, we discussed about, some Dylan, some boy, the Uranus, we discussed Uranus. I was talking about a Dylan Klebold. He had Uranus exalted in the 3rd house. So suddenly this, he just thought, I will just go and blast people, and he killed some people. Okay, so this is even bigger fury. That is only shooting some 20 children, and this guy killed some 300 people. So which is like a huge dastardly act of crime, so that can be only done by a person with Pluto in exaltation like that. So we are looking at more Scorpios here. Okay, all of them are good in their own way. They would have faced some challenges here and there, but then they somehow, overcame most of those troubles. So it can be Neeta Ambani or a Lalit Modi or a Dan Brown, Jeff Bezos, Michael Dell, Suraj Barjatia, all great achievers in their own right. Wasim Akram, Revati, Steve Wogg, Amir Khan, Sunita Williams, Rajkumar Hirani, all of them are achievers. Okay, all of them faced initial challenges, but then they overcame most of the challenges and became big. So Scorpion patch of Pluto exaltation, it gives some trouble initially, or at some point of time. Okay, unless it is not placed in the wrong houses, but then they overcome those troubles and then they do well for themselves and they become big. So it may not be a extraordinary story like the Eagles, but still it's a very good story. It's a fabulous story that they make, and they do impact millions of people. So
Yeah.
these people have definitely had the impact on millions of people. These
Especially J.K. Rowling and Dan Brown, these two people's horoscope, in case you get, please do share it with me.
Sure. Yeah, their birth. I mean, like always a confusion in the ascendant. So sometime they like you think it's a Libra ascendant. Sometimes it's some other ascendant. So yeah, so confusion is there. But yeah, if I'll get it, I'll definitely pass it on to you.
Because I'm very interested in J.K. Rowling, and I had almost somewhere her chart. I even wrote to her. She had a very eighth house. It's not showing now. She said, the publicist or somebody said no, she wants to keep it a secret. I'm not able to find it right now. She said she wants her private life to be kept a secret. But let's see if anybody ever discovers it. Okay, let me share the screen because here comes the interesting part.
Yes, so now this is the twin tower attack. Okay, so now if you see this is the exact moment when the now this is the current times. I mean, we're not looking at any chart of a person because Pluto entered into its own house in 1990. Okay, and it stayed till 2005. So this is the time when Pluto was in its own house. In fact, if you see, many terror activities have actually started happening in this period. Many terror outfits have been formed in this period. So we're looking at one of the terror activity which happened when Pluto was in its own house in Scorpio, and that was when Pluto was there in the third house. So when the attack happened.
Can I interrupt? Here Pluto.
Yeah, please.
Pluto here is showing as in Scorpio, but here Pluto in the chart is showing as in Leo.
Oh, I think that's when I was doing this
North South.
the North South, because so there is some mistake there. Yeah. So okay. The South Indian chart is the right one.
Okay, we'll take it here.
Yeah. I must have done some mix and match with some other chart. Something must have happened. Yeah. Sorry for that. Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah. So Pluto is in Scorpio because in 2001 obviously it was in Scorpio, and this is the right one. So Pluto is there in the third house basically. So Pluto, now third house is the house of the mind. We discussed that. Okay, it also indicates the movement. Okay, the movement, and as you also been saying, it is short distance. Okay, so now this is a hugely planned, dastardly act which was executed. Okay, it is a plane which is a moving object. Okay, moving into something and creating terror. Okay, and the terror is the planet and the terror which will sort of paralyze the minds of people. Okay, so the entire planning happened in such a way by which the Pluto, the terror planet, was there in the third house. You can see that. So the movement is happening and the terror is happening. The moving body goes and hits and then creates disaster. I think almost 1,000 people died in that, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah. So yeah.
It shook America the way it has never been shaken before.
Yeah. Okay, now, so looking at the organizations, even if you look at the organizations which were formed during the Eagle times, the Grey Lizard times, and the Scorpion times, and when Pluto was in its own house, you will see an amazing way how how those great companies or organizations have been formed. If you look at the Eagles, India became a republic in the Eagle patch. In 1950, 26 January, we became a republic. China became a republic in 49. The first atom bomb was made in 49. The first charge card was, made in 50, something like that, And the first telephone was invented in this period. The first television was, aired in this period. So all those things which are going to last for a long time. See, now, if you look at India and China are superpowers. We were when India got independence in 1947, we were supposed to be a poor country, And no one would have imagined that 60 years down the line, this country is going to be, competing against something like a USA. Okay. And even nobody thought about China to be one country which is going to actually become something huge like this, because China was always China and India were supposed to be having the biggest problem in their, problems in terms of population.
Yeah.
So population was the biggest enemy for India and China, which actually has now become the biggest plus.
Exactly.
Yeah? It has become the human capital. So we are a human capital rich countries, and what traditionally was the biggest challenge for the countries became the biggest strength. And now we are looking at two countries which are actually competing with the best in the world. Okay, and we are becoming superpowers. In fact, India, looking at the time when we became a republic, it very clearly shows that India is going to be a superpower. India is going to be in the top 3 bracket. They are saying that a time will come when China will be the number 1 economy in the world and India will be the number 2, and USA will be pushed to the 3rd. It's a distant dream, but I'm sure that can happen, because looking at the years when the country became a republic very clearly shows that India and China have a long way to go. This is like eagles. So we were nothing when the republic was formed, but now we are very strong. Probably 30 years down the line, 30, 40 years down the line, we may be competing with the best in the world. We are already competing with the best in the world, but probably we'll be there.
Yeah.
We'll be in the number 2, number 3 list of rankings, when 30 years down the line, 40 years down the line. So if you look at that list of eagles, it's like amazing. Look at the grey lizard list. All of these organizations have either undergone extreme metamorphosis, or they were, if you look at the first credit card, credit card is about other people's money, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're using someone else's money. And credit cards were the ones, we're looking at grey lizard, 1958-61. So first credit card was launched. So credit cards were the ones which are responsible for using the money, you using other people's money, and then you make an interest on it. That can be only thought by a grey lizard kind of a thing. And credit cards actually were responsible for the biggest frauds actually.
Yeah.
So the frauds and everything all associated with that Pluto. Visa was simply about transacting money. So again, we're talking about other people's money transaction. Amway is one of those companies which thrives on other people's money. It's all about building a pyramid system. Amway people would be very, very angry and upset when they hear the word pyramid. Okay. But it's very simply, it's using other people's money to grow.
Yeah.
There are 100 people who are and below you, you're downline, and then you are above them, and then you grow as an emerald and whatever, And then Playboy, of course, it's a sex symbol. It's a symbol of sex. It's a symbol of pleasure and sex. And that was again introduced during the Grey Lizard time. And Barbie, of course, went through a lot of challenges and changes. Okay, controversies. Pizza Hut and LG have undergone extreme changes. LG is no more called as LG. It is now called as LG something else. LG Electronics something. They underwent a lot of transformation. So all of these companies, you can see that they are connected in some way or the other with Grey Lizard. And the Scorpion organizations, if you see, they all started small, but then they went on to be big. The color television was first introduced during the Scorpion period. The PepsiCo, the Pepsi and the Frito-Lays came together. Reliance, the biggest organization in country, the biggest wealth creator for India, was launched in 66. Indian Oil, one of the countries in the companies in the top, the world 500, Walmart, Samsung, Hyundai, all organizations, if you see, all of them, and you're looking at today, the Facebooks, the YouTube channel through which we are conversing right now, the Googles, the Amazons, the ExxonMobils, all of these great organizations were launched in the recent times. You look at the Al-Qaeda were formed in the 90s. The Babri Masjid came down. The Pluto just entered in and the Babri Masjid fell down. And also the September 11 happened. And so many other terror activities or restructuring activities. Babri Masjid coming down is a restructuring activity, isn't it?
Correct.
A structure which was there long time before, it came down and there is a restructuring that is happening. It's a Plutonian thing, typical Plutonian thing.
Correct.
Yeah. And all this
Even 11th September, this also a Plutonian thing,
Yes. Yes.
Babri
The
Masjid.
Facebook has changed the way you make friends. YouTube has changed the way you know view content. Google has changed the way you search. I mean, like life has changed. You can find everything on Google. Okay, so I mean, these are the last. The list is the one which is going to be there with us for the next century. The next
Yeah.
100 years is going to be a extension of these companies. So
Correct.
Pluto has changed the way we act, we interact, or what we do, or how do we do business. So Pluto is the one which changes your life,
Very,
transforms your life.
very true. Very true.
Yes, I think that's the last slide, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay, that's the last one. So, coming to think of it, Pluto is so important. I look at it from another angle, which we said at the very start of this session, is Pluto has some very dramatic lessons to teach.
Yes.
And somehow the only way to go ahead with it is detachment. Detachment. I know a person whose transit Pluto is going over the person's natal Rahu. Rahu signifies cheating, Rahu signifies scandal, Rahu signifies everything, that one cannot think of. Our diseases not being able to find out the diseases, all that. So going in circles with the diseases, okay? And all this is happening in seventh house of marriage, relationships, etc. And it has made this man so corrupt in his mind. He does not know what he's doing. Okay.
Okay.
He just does not know what he's doing. And every week he changes his own policy, fundamentals, etc. And he's not able to cope with his past because he's still sticking to his past. He's not saying that Pluto is trying to teach him, you got to change, adapt, change. It doesn't matter what people think of, what you got to do, you got to do. I'm quite sure this might be happening in many people's lives. Right now, Pluto is in Sagittarius. I would request everyone to see how this transit of Pluto has governed your life. Before that, okay, just don't stop at your chart. See it in 4-5 charts of your near and dear ones. See if you can find the themes of the houses, as Greenstone G has said. I was going to call you Greeny.
Yeah, that's what my friends call me. Yeah, Greeny.
Oh, really?
And you're my friend.
When I was thinking how I'm going to edit this video series, I was thinking,
Okay.
I was thinking, Sunil with Greeny. Then I thought, hey,
Yeah, I think that's a very good one. Yes. Yeah.
Good one. So, an old man talking to a young man, learning.
Hello. I think we must be like 2-3 years apart. Yeah, that's it. What old man? Yeah.
I have become quite old. But what I want to say is, with this end of this wonderful series of Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, okay, I'm going to break it up into a couple of series so that you'll watch. I don't want you to do what many Indians have done in the past, to form instant judgments. No, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto doesn't work. Spend time in this series, see it a couple of times, okay? We have tried to make it, or we in the sense, Greeny has tried to make it as simple. Oh, Greeny came so natural, okay? Greeny has tried to make it in a very simple manner. At the same time, he has given a bit of advanced knowledge. And it's not easy to digest. You'll need to watch this a couple of times. Make your own notes, like how he connected Harshad Mehta's third lord in the 12th house and that cannibal's third lord in the 12th house. Remember horoscopes. Connect when he's showing another horoscope. Take eagle, grey lizard, scorpion. Make your notes. Then come to conclusion and especially see the transit of Pluto in Sagittarius. See how last couple of years it has changed your life, whether it's transiting your second house, third house, fourth house. See also the dispositor where it goes. I have been an advocate of the dispositor theory. It's not my theory. It is Jain Basin's theory. He wrote a book a couple of decades back on it. Okay. The dispositor works tremendously well. Okay. Check it out. Post your comments below. Be kind in posting your comments. Please understand, Greenstone Logoji or Greeny will try to reply to your comments as much as possible from his busy schedule. Okay. But if you have questions, hey, where is Pluto in my chart? Come on, use any software. He's not going to reply. Use any software or go to his website. Oh, what's the name of your website once again?
It is True Zodiac. I mean, to make this chart, it is truezodiacsign.com/calculator.
Okay.
So there's a free calculator available where they can just put their birth details and they can generate a chart.
Or you can use, if you're a professional astrologer, you'll get it in any software. If you're a youngster, you can go to his site and do it. Okay. But please don't expect, him to reply to all the small questions. Whatever questions we feel a student is going to ask, don't worry. We're going to come up with a series. For example, Pluto in first house, second house, third house, till 12th house. Uranus in 12 houses. Neptune in 12 houses. Okay. We will come up with a series as time goes by. Okay. But finally, I must say, I admire the patience of you, Greeny. Okay. You have given so much to our audiences. Okay. And may God bless you always. May you do more researches. And please share some of the researches with our audiences. It's my humble request.
Thank you so much. Actually, you can do a lot of researches, but then the research may just lie dormant. No one knows it. But you're giving a platform, and you've been giving an unbiased platform to all people to come and talk about their own research. Without you've been just giving it away, which is so beautiful. And thank you so much for allowing me to showcase whatever I've done. Thank you.
It's our honor. It's our honor and our pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sunil, for inviting me. Thank you. It's been wonderful. God bless you too. Yeah.